Welcome to episode 205 of Comic Timing, a comics podcast devoted to the average comic book fan. From the average comic book fan, join in as Brent Cassina, a rotating panel of guests, and myself, Ian Levesine, discuss whatever comes to mind time after time here on Comic Timing for 15 years. And we somehow only put out 205 episodes, but what are you going to do? Today, we review Zack Snyder's Zack Snyder Presents Justice League, a Zack Snyder production. Here now, Comic Timing. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levesine, and welcome to episode 205 of Comic Timing. And we all see each other, and it's weird. All right, the first Comic Timing recorded via Zoom. Brent Cassina in his man cave with the Batman behind him and the artwork and all that jazz. He looks very comfortable in his chair and sipping on some bourbon like most of us are. So
I live a good, privileged life.
Oh, yes.
Thank you enough.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, for a second, I was listening to the music, and I thought for certain that you were playing the CGS intro. It's been so long since we recorded, and you had done the music live. And I was like, wait a minute, what show are we doing here?
Jesus. I mean, to be fair, I've been playing a guitar intro for CGS lately, so, like, yeah, they are starting to all blend together in my head either way. So go figure. Jamal Igle returns, the more regular than not guest the last couple of episodes we put out, but we had to have him here for the Snyder Cut because I made him, and that's what matters.
I wasn't gonna miss this for the world. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely our pleasure to have you here, my friend. Absolutely our pleasure. Raf Suhu, with his name behind him, because that's the only way that he would ever want it.
Yeah, I mean, Raging Ego. I mean, come on.
No, it's Raging Bullets. You were Geeks Unite.
That's right.
Yeah.
And remember, there's always time for comics.
That's later. That's later, man. God.
Okay. Uniting the world's listeners, one hero at a time.
Wrong show!
God damn it.
Yeah.
And Brandon's here as well. Brandon, what's up?
Hello there.
Ooh, you and your mic arm, Mr. Fancy. Mr. Fancy Pants.
I mean, I have a mic. You just can't see it.
Yes, it's fine because
Raging Ego.
It's being blocked by your Raging Ego, exactly. And Chris is on the call as well. Chris, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm the token taco at this sausage party.
Woo!
I mean, someone had to do it.
That's like Justice League.
Yeah, exactly. A very good point. Other guest, Donovan Morgan Grant. What's going on?
If there is a 1% chance that this movie is good, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
Oh.
No.
Out the gates with the snark. Absolutely delightful. Oh, my God.
I love it so much.
So you guys, a couple of days ago, I sat down and I watched a return of some heroes that we hadn't seen before. And they're gathering together to try to defend the world and destroy a group of infidels who are trying to take over and set things on a path from the past that they feel is right.
So you watch Suicide Squad?
But enough about Falcon and Winter Soldier, you guys.
Come on, it was great.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about, as I said, Zack Snyder Presents a Zack Snyder production, Zack Snyder's Justice League, TM, Zack Snyder, all rights reserved, Zack Snyder.
Catered by Zack Snyder.
Catered by Zack Snyder.
4-3 format to preserve his vision. A Zack Snyder joint.
All right, so we're starting there.
Yes, please do.
So, Mr. Zack Snyder, a man who has his style. And you either like that style or you dislike that style. That's fine.
True.
You know, and I'm saying that off the bat here. Like, I know that there's people who listen to this that are huge fans of his, and you're allowed to be. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I've said that on every single frickin' episode, including the Justice League episode, in which we said that Armie Hammer should be Batman, that Suicide Squad...
did not age well.
No, that Suicide Squad 2 was in the pipeline and that Black Adam was going to be in it. And I think we also said that Joss Whedon should direct a second Justice League movie. So all of these went really well and everything's great.
If I remember right, I think I said I wanted to see Joss Whedon's Justice League movie.
Right.
Like his own version of it.
Right.
cutting up
honestly
Zack Snyder
still want
stuff.
to see it. Actually,
I mean-
to be honest.
He's
canceled, so-
It's
I
not
know.
going to happen anytime soon, and I don't think it ever will. But we're never going to see Zack Snyder's second Justice League either. So go figure.
I think before we go through this long podcast,
Yes.
we should take a poll of who liked the movie and who didn't.
Okay.
That way, at the end, we can compare results because there's a history on these podcasts of people flip flopping and stabbing people in the back.
What do you mean, Brent?
That's madness. That's complete madness, Brent. What the heck, Brandon?
Ooh, thrown under the bus.
All right.
Oh, God.
You know what?
Superman's
Yes,
not going to save you because that's not what he does.
that is a good point, actually. So let's just get our genuine thoughts out of the way.
Jesus.
Like our general thoughts out of the way on what we thought of this version of Zack Snyder's Zack Snyder Justice League, Zack Snyder, and then we'll go from there. Chris, why don't you start us off? What'd you think?
Well, since I have the magic of video here, apologies to everyone just listening to the audio. I feel about that movie the way I feel about this dumpster fire figure. It is adorable. It is attractive. I don't regret buying it, but it is still at its heart a dumpster fire.
Ooh.
Okay, that is fair. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was ever going to because I didn't hate Whedon's Justice League. I thought it was a mess, but I didn't hate it. And what I didn't hate about it, a lot of that is here because it's still the basic parts. You put them together like it's a Lego piece that was put together wrong. That's Whedon's Justice League. This is a Lego piece that was put together with way too many pieces. And like they built the castle and somehow also got pieces from like the Death Star and added that on too. And somehow made a movie out of it. This movie should not have been 4 hours, period. That is my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I will say that if we call this Zack Snyder's Justice League, but this is not the movie that would have been released had Zack Snyder not have stepped down. There's no way they would have allowed a 4-hour slow extravaganza.
4-3 production for that matter. Like, like this is not Mank. Okay, like you can't get away with. And mind you, yes, now they're putting out a freaking black and white version of this, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, I saw that.
So like they're just gonna go full old school with this shit. But
Justice is gray.
Yeah, exactly. Justice is gray, and I'm looking forward to the red all over cut later.
And apparently on Channel 11 in like 1976. So
exactly, chased by natives, chased by rocks. Brandon, general thoughts.
If Justice League, the Joss version was a C-, this is a C+ at best.
Okay. All right. Yeah, which I think, which is about what you gave it when because I re-listened again. I re-listened to our Justice League episode like last night. So like that's around where you were on that on a much worse microphone.
Yeah. Well, I know, right? Who thought? But the bar was so low for this movie to be better than the other version.
Yeah.
It was easily clear, and there are parts I liked, and there are parts I didn't like. But it's bloated as all hell. It is a slog. That first hour is just ungodly. Then it finds its footing, and then it gets better. Then it just slows down again, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And then it goes.
Hey, look, I really like the soundtrack of Xena Warrior Princess. Okay.
Can we talk about?
Do you like only playing one track from Xena Warrior Princess over and over and over?
Junkie XL. Enough said.
Look.
Junkie XL.
2 words.
Yeah.
2 words here.
Yeah.
Icelandic singing. Okay.
And
5 minutes.
And I
Two
know
more words: sweater sniffing.
we're also spoiling, the quote unquote end of the movie, but like, of course, this motherfucker had to get Hallelujah in there somewhere.
Oh God.
Fucking knew it. Like it had to happen. And
I was
there
waiting
was.
for it the
Piano
entire
version, though?
movie, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, Jamal, give your initial general thoughts.
Okay, so I preface this by saying that unlike a lot of people, I actually hated the Joss Whedon Justice League.
Yes, you did.
Because it was such a mess. So, and like Brandon said, the bar was so low for Snyder's version to be better.
Yeah.
honestly, I don't have any emotions toward it. It's just sort of meh.
Oh my god! Wait a minute! Your thoughts on this were our thoughts on Joss Whedon's Justice League, where we said the words, "It's a movie."
It sure did happen.
I sat down and I watched the whole thing, and I'm not unbiased. Anybody who's ever heard me on the podcast or even followed me
No.
on the media knows that I am not unbiased when it comes to Zack Snyder. I think he's good at a certain thing, but he doesn't understand characters human emotion or motivation
or fast
anything.
motion.
Or fast motion. So I'm watching this and I'm comparing it to the Whedon version. And yes, it's a much more coherent visual presentation. It's not that terribly different than the Whedon version. And a lot of the jokes that people were complaining about
are there.
In the Whedon are in. So within the shooting script, you can't blame Joss Whedon for that.
Yeah.
So I'm just sort of meh.
But we want to.
I know it's not a good movie.
No.
Oh no.
But it's not terrible.
No. Yeah, it's just not the puzzle put together incorrectly anymore. Now we've seen it put together quote unquote correctly, and now we can have a full opinion on it. That's it.
But again, I agree with the general assessment. There's no fucking way that this should have been 4 hours.
Oh my god.
At all. Oh my god.
I was leaning forward because I was waiting for you to say that you liked it, and I was going to do the little Grover thing.
Oh man.
I know good and goddamn well that was not the case.
Oh, I know. All right, Raph. You and Jamal could have a fight, but we have had fights over who's a bigger Superman fan, because I know that the two of you are pretty close.
Jamal's. I mean, I defer to the guy who actually has worked on Superman.
That's fair.
In some capacity.
That's perfectly fair.
As opposed to the fanboy who has, just been obsessed with Superman for like 34 years or now.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a small point in Jamal's favor. I'm going to throw that out there.
Well, you got exactly 13 minutes of Superman in this movie. That was 4 hours long. So I'd like to know what you think about the movie, prefacing it with that and initial thoughts. What do you think?
I'll go into the Superman stuff later, obviously, but initial thoughts, I'm kind of in the same boat as everyone else. So here's the funny thing. I went into my Facebook memories, and I went back to the day that you and I went to see the movie at Alamo.
Yeah,
because I went with Ian the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And so like 2-3 hours after the movie, and I went on Facebook and I said, I thought Joss Whedon's Justice League was okay. Mm-hmm. I really kind of wonder what Zack Snyder's would have been like. So all of this is my fault. I'm so sorry.
You wished it into existence.
Yeah.
I was the first of us to actually kind of say release the Snyder Cut.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to intentionally. Here we are, and I just want to apologize publicly for that. This is all my fault.
I mean, you just didn't know that 3/4 of the men on the internet would also say that.
No, it was a happy coincidence. It just happened, right? Like I had the idea. Like, I don't know. No, I'm not going to make a January 6th comparison because that's terrible.
No,
but
no.
It just happened, right? So, what do you call it? So I think if you're a Zack Snyder fan, if you like his aesthetic and his feel, I think it's a really good example of his work.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What he does, quote unquote, best. It's all subjective, right? What he does well that people like him for, really good, really good.
Mm-hmm.
To my personal taste, it's better than the Whedon cut because it makes more. Because I understand what Zack's trying to do.
Yeah.
I understand the story that he's trying to tell.
Right.
He just can't do it at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to do it. So he's kind of, I'm going to make the comparison later, but he's kind of like of a certain breed, like him and J.J. Abrams. I think have a lot of similarities. And I'll get into that later.
I would throw Michael Bay in that.
Literally in my notes.
Well,
literally in my notes, it says J.J. Abrams, McGee, and Michael Bay.
Absolutely.
Those three and Zack Snyder are solely comparable.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I really didn't really care anymore. I'm so exhausted about talking about it.
Sure.
But
and we're never talking about it again after this.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But
Restore the Snyderverse.
I've gotten to the point where like I get people aren't going to agree with me. Like not everyone's going to agree with me on Superman.
Yeah.
And that my choices are very personal. But if I take all that out, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah.
If I had liked the movies before, I would have liked this one. Right. Like it's consistent. It's actually arguably my favorite of the three, I think.
Yeah. And it actually kind of is mine too, to be weirdly shocked.
I heard Brent. No, what did I do to Brent? No, I'm sorry, Brent.
I'm sorry, Man of Steel friend. Is that not how you feel?
I mean, okay. Man of Steel and Justice League they're both in the same boat for me. Like maybe one's a tick above the other, but BVS is all the way down.
Absolutely.
Well,
Dog shit.
Yeah.
I have to say this.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut made BVS worse to me.
Whoa.
Well, the theatrical cut or both of them? Because I think it makes the theatrical cut even worse.
The theatrical cut 100% is worse because
I think if you take the Ultimate Edition, I understand what he's trying to do even more. Even if I don't necessarily love it, I get it. Like I understand him. Whereas with BVS, it doesn't make sense.
I feel like I watched the BVS Ultimate Edition before this, and the thing is that I mean, talking about the actual Snyder Cut and not just our general feelings, but that a lot of it rests on Batman. Like I think somebody said he's such a simp for Superman in the Snyder Cut, which kind of comes out of nowhere after watching BVS. BVS, he just hates the dude. You know, we have the Martha scene, and it doesn't resonate emotionally for me. Like if BVS was a different movie, the Snyder Cut would have resonated with me more. I'd be like, oh man, he just wants his boyfriend back. But
Batman watched Superman die so beautifully and for so long in BVS that he fell in love with him during that moment as his life was snuffed out because it was all Batman's fault.
With Hallelujah playing in the background.
Once that wave of grief hit him, he was like, "I love him so much. I want to touch his hair."
And I'll say too, and I mean we'll get there, but like the actual idea for resurrection of Superman still comes so out of left field in this movie. Because
no, it's even worse because there's no discussion beforehand.
Yes.
They just decide that they're going to do it, and that's it. We're just going to bring them back.
We're still in general thoughts.
I know. You're right. All right.
I'm good. We're
good. Going down the Zoom hole here, Donovan. Your genuine thoughts. Your general thoughts. I keep saying genuine.
My general thoughts, genuinely.
Yes. There you go.
I think Jamal got my thought process precisely that like. It was all right. The Snyder Cut. I'm a little surprised because, like, between when I saw it on Thursday and now just Monday, there's been a ton of standing for this movie online.
Yeah.
And you know, I know how I felt about it, but honestly, I don't think it was a bad movie, but I can't say it's a good movie. Right. There are people that like are outside of the Snyder Bros sphere. They're like honest, good people that I respect, that I know are intelligent, that are like, you know, that were really into the movie after they saw it, and they give it an A and stuff. And I can't give a movie an A with this much slow motion. And of course, there's a lot of like, you know, the indulgent, like the slow motion, the egregious background noise, a lot of that stuff. The first 2 hours pissed me off. Mm-hmm. I was really hating it. I was like, it was so Snydery. It was cheesy.
Okay.
Once the team starts coming together, it does get easier to watch. Like once you see more Flash and Cyborg, it does become Snyderisms can't really maintain the needs of the story of the Justice League coming together. Mm-hmm. So it's fine. And I would even argue that like the third act and the final battle is pretty good. But overall, it comes together. It's like, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say like, you know, that sucked. It didn't offend my religion like BVS did, but like, I wouldn't say that like, you know, I don't even, oh boy, I can't wait. But like, I mean, people are people are like way over the top, and I don't want to get too much into yucking people's yum, but like, I mean, this isn't like better than the Avengers movies. This isn't better than like,
no.
I probably put it on the same level as like the Ant-Man films. That like, it's fine, but like, I wouldn't say this is like you can't miss this, because quite frankly, the story of superheroes teaming up together. I mean, they've done this in the CW several times.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not really a novelty anymore, and what you're left with is Snyder's like very, very like specific
Nihilistic?
takes on the character. Well, I mean, like I would argue that this is the most easiest to digest of the three. Like Gail Simone was making a thread about how there was so much hope in this film. And I remember before I saw the film, I was like, "There's no fucking way that's true." But there is. There's hope in this film, but like it comes through a filter of like this very Ayn Randian power fantasy.
It's cynical.
Yep.
Yeah, all
So
your
it's
hope-
like,
yeah.
I just find Batman and Superman to be far more compelling characters than these movies offer up.
I
would never like this movie that much.
I need to share an image real quick. This is what saturation turned all the way up. Okay, of one of the hero shots. Because you talk about like everybody getting together, and yes,
Sepia toned.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had to turn the gain up all the way on the brightness to actually get a hero shot in this. Which is why, to me, if you try to say that this movie, has more hope, when it's shot that dark, it's very hard to say that because everything's bathed in darkness. And, I know that was one of the things that Joss changed with his, is that he tried to put a little bit more day scenes in there and stuff like that. But that's not, Snyder's vision, and so be it. And
No, Zack Snyder wants Superman to go through his Azrael Abyss phase.
right.
Well, I remember after BVS, before Snyder left the movie, he did say, okay, and I don't know if this was like his personal preference for how a Justice League film should be, or Warner Brothers just shaking him, waking him up saying, you can't possibly do it this grimdark again. And because he was saying around Comic-Con before he left the movie, Justice League will be a lighter film. I remember the Comic-Con trailer with all the rock music and like the Flash scene was pretty much in touch with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, this is comparatively a lighter movie than Man of Steel and BVS.
Oh, sure.
But it's and like, so like, that's why I find it, I'm not that upset, but it's still only, it's only so good. And it's only so good because I don't know if it's just us but like, I can't really allow a lot of this sort of like this fidelity towards the idea of like these heroes as deities. Like once Superman came back and was doing like the Evangelion like Christ image thing, I was just like, I mean, God, he's got to be aware of this. Like the lack of self-awareness was really gnawing at my intelligence.
Yeah,
and like I can't wait to get into it further. But like it wasn't bad.
Yeah,
it was not good. It was all right.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. But before we let him out, I have to give him the proper introduction. Okay, Brent Casina. Okay, longtime co-host of this show, the stand for Man of Steel of this show. Okay, the one who liked it easily the most out of all of us.
That's very true.
Did not enjoy Batman v Superman. We were all not fans of it, as
none of us did,
as was shown.
You shouldn't be.
Exactly. And then Justice League, he was just about as mad about it as we were. Like he thought it was all right. He thought it was decent. And now here we are, 3 years later. Zack Snyder puts out his version, his 4-hour epic, and I would love to know Brent Casina's thoughts. Brent, the floor is yours.
I want to know who duped who here. Ourselves into demanding this 4-hour long waste of time that people or an epic? Or did Zack Snyder dupe us by did he dupe us by not even taking a check? So he didn't work a day on this thing. He didn't look at the edit. He he just put an assembly together and say, yeah, there you go, finish all the visual effects shots, cut music to it, and we're done. And everybody took him as that's his vision. And he was too busy on Netflix's Army of the Dead to actually sit down with the editor that's credited on this film and actually chop it down into a film length so that you could call it a film, since they were no longer going to release it as episodic on HBO Max due to contracts. He just went, fuck it. They'll shut up about it now. I can move on with my life. It was personally painful because of the studio, because of what was going on with his family. I feel duped. Not that I had any hope that this was going to be good. I was just interested in what it would be. But the fact that it is so much the same.
Yeah.
And that you could have just taken – Joss Whedon could have easily killed this notion of the Snyder Cut before the movie even came out. If he had just taken the dark side scenes – and put them in his version, and taken the Steppenwolf, you just added 20 minutes to this movie, taking the Steppenwolf arc and put it in his movie, and that C- Justice League movie we got in the theaters would have been a B minus.
Yeah,
and
you would have given a villain, you would have had a villain with an arc, you would have had the overall arching threat, and you would have been just fine. But no, he had to take all that out. So I blame Joss Whedon for this, for making a mediocre movie. He could have built something with his changes as well into something, because all his stuff, I maybe my disappointment suffers because I watched BVS Ultimate Edition, and then I watched the theatrical version on Monday.
I didn't watch the theatrical. I watched Ultimate, and then I watched Snyder. So I didn't actually watch the Whedon version again.
So I watched the theatrical, and then I watched the Zack Snyder thing, and like Donovan, I was so fucking bored. Sorry, CGS, we're cursing on comic timing.
It's fine. It's fine. There's gonna be an explicit. Okay, Uncle Sal exists. There's explicit episodes of CGS.
Yeah. First hour I was bored. Second hour I was bored. Third hour I was bored. Fourth hour I was bored. When we finally got to that shot you just showed of them on top of the cooling tower, I was like, all right, this movie's over. Thank God.
Yep.
And then I pressed down on my little TV remote here, and it said, "There you have 30 minutes left." So
choke on those minutes.
I feel
Brent.
so duped. And the fact that he did nothing to this film other than to say, you know what would mess with WB more and mess with the fans more. Let me add this little nightmare scene that nobody asked for, that wasn't in the original script. And we got Jared Leto back doing whatever the fuck he was doing, which isn't the same as Suicide Squad, which I kind of had no problem with other than the tattooed look. But then we got to hear him say reach around and stuff, and Batman fuck you, and this like don't even that scene didn't even need to be there. So this was just a complete waste of time. And then also
we'll get into this part later,
right. But
well, can I also
fuck you to us was this 4x3 cropped bullshit.
Yeah.
So he shot it the way he wanted to shot it. Joss Whedon in the studio came in and said, no, you can't release this. Nobody's going to watch this like this. And I maintain, and I will tell this to Chris Nolan's face if he ever comes across me, I'll say, hey, man, I get the idea with IMAX. It's great in the theater when you're watching it in the big 4x3 boob tube ratio, as you want to call it. But at home, on your phones, everything's widescreen now. So at least make it widescreen enough that it fills up my phone or your computer screen or whatever you're watching it on. And for Zack Snyder to know that this is going to be released on TV screens and release it on TV screens where the only real way you could watch it was on your fucking iPad, where it took up the whole screen and you felt like you weren't missing anything, is just another big FU.
Well, and okay, now to be fair, to be perfectly fair, even though
waste of time, I want
this is my favorite Brent.
Even though this is not a good reason for why it's 4-3, to be fair, the only thing thank you, Jamal. The only thing Zack Snyder had done when he exited the film was the IMAX work print.
Right.
So and that had his quote unquote 4-hour vision on it, which is why he then decided to work off of that with this, because it's what he had. And it doesn't mean that somewhere in a can were not 16:9 versions, nor that he could have created a 16:9 version, which he could have. But He decided for his image, for his standards, that we had to see the full screen of what was being shown, even though it didn't actually add anything to the picture.
Add anything.
No,
So,
not once.
My whole thing, and I would tell Chris Nolan is yes, and if you're sitting in a real IMAX movie where the screen is that large, that size, and that ratio, changing it from a widescreen to expanding it taller works beautifully.
Yeah.
The same way I would argue that the way that Warner Brothers has done his releases on Blu-rays, which is the only way you can watch these things. Like if you buy a digital copy of Dunkirk, you're not going to get it. But Dark Knight Rises, Dark Knight, Dunkirk, whatever, they go from widescreen if you're watching the video. Picture your super widescreen, and then they just go to 16:9 in that thing. And the nice thing about the IMAX cameras, which you could make an argument for, is that if you use real IMAX cameras, you get a super sharp, clean image, and you can tell if you're watching the Blu-rays of Dark Knight or 4Ks or whatever these things, when it goes full frame on your TV, it gets super crisp, super clear. There's no film grain.
Indeed.
Zack Snyder didn't shoot it on IMAX.
No.
He shot it on film or digital or whatever the hell he did, and they put the film grain on top of it.
Yeah.
So not only are you not getting the tallness since we're in a pandemic, okay, fine, but then you're also not getting the crisp, clear image that the IMAX experience is supposed to give you, which if you go watch Justice League, where he zoomed in on these 4x3 panels, at least the image is fucking crystal clear.
Yeah.
So this whole thing smells of Zack Snyder just going, all right, here's my assembly cut, spend the money on the thing, and I'll spend a couple days on it, proofing it and whatever. Like, there's no part of me that believes he sat down with an editor and said, oh no, move this here, make this longer, make this shorter. I'm sure there's stuff missing from this or whatever that wasn't shot. But I can also blame the studio for allowing a 400-page script or whatever it is to go through and get approved.
I don't even blame
from the
him.
beginning.
Yeah.
Brent, I don't even blame him, honestly. I blame Warner Brothers and I blame AT&T more than anything else, because this whole exercise is just a cynical cash grab. They needed subscribers for HBO Max. They knew that they were going to at least get 1 month out of these guys. Yeah. And that's basically what's going to happen. People are signed up for the month. They're going to watch it. They're going to leave. HBO Max will have recouped the other $70 million and whatever that they spent to finish the movie. And it's there. It's done.
Well, they made the decision to do Zack Snyder's Justice League before they made the decision to launch all those movies straight to HBO Max. And I think that had it been the opposite, had they made the decision due to COVID to launch all those movies to HBO Max first, knowing the fact that they would have, James Gunn's Suicide Squad on there, knowing the fact that they would have, Godzilla Kong,
I'm so excited for that.
I know. You're going to watch it like 8 times, Raph, I know. Knowing that they were going to have all of these temples, In the Heights directly to HBO Max. Mortal Kombat, Dune,
Matrix 4.
I do not think we would have Zack Snyder's Justice League this very moment.
I'm easy.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think that timing is very important on this, and I also think that the fact that Chris went sepia tone for this Zack Snyder conversation just makes it even more hilarious.
I just don't understand how you can call this a movie or a film. Movies are films. 2 hours, 2.5, 3.
Hold on.
You go to this 4-hour thing where the pace is so slow, like Raph's doing right now.
All right,
crawling along. There's no way you can call this a film, and I don't understand. Here's my personal opinion. I don't understand how one could be so bored watching 4 hours of this and still think it was good. So all of you guys who said it was okay still baffle me.
Can I go back to our Justice League review?
Okay.
Which was in the middle of a Thor Ragnarok review, mind you. We didn't even give it a whole fucking episode.
We skipped right over it. We skipped right over it.
Oh, I know.
I remember that, yeah.
But I remember saying in that very thing that Joss Whedon's Justice League felt more like a television pilot. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder what the next episode would be. I found out. I found out because this is literally. You said that they decided not to make it into a 4-hour miniseries. This was a 4-hour miniseries. You know, like this was 100%, episodic. You can go stop watching this and come back on a Tuesday and watch the rest of it and pick up where you were, because that's how clean the cuts are in that instance. And the only thing I could say are clean cuts in this are the chapter breaks, where you can stop, take a piss, go eat your lunch, come back, sit down, watch another 45 minutes, stop it there, go to bed, wake up the next day, watch 45 minutes, and that's it. It's an episodic production. It is not a movie.
The only thing that it was missing was Always Sunny in Philadelphia interstitial music.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That would have saved it for me, to be honest.
The gang goes to Gotham City. Da, 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 da. Oh no, sorry, that's Curb, but still, yeah, I know.
There are moments that are better. There are scenes that are, of course, better. Because they're the original vision. They haven't been chopped. There's no missing mustache.
Right.
Oh my God. Thank
but they're
God.
also
I'm saying as a whole that this thing is better than a concise, not cohesive, a concise 2-hour film.
Right.
I don't know how you arrive at that conclusion.
I don't. You don't really, because there are entire sequences. Like, I could see why Joss cut that whole Barry and Iris scene out.
Yeah,
it doesn't advance
do anything.
the story.
No, it does not
at all.
We don't even know her name.
It's kind of
not
creepy.
even called
You're
Iris
right.
like
Thank you,
Donovan's
Donovan.
going to.
Yeah,
he
very
didn't
good
even
point.
They didn't even call her Irish. She could be Michelle.
Yeah.
This.
Well, also, I don't know what people were expecting, because I'm not necessarily like, oh, it's 4 hours, because he always said there was always a 4-hour cut that needed to be cut down, because I was never going to go to print, but as it's kind of presented here, the narrative kind of going to this film was so pro creative rights and Zack Snyder's vision, which I'm so tired of the word vision. I was sick of it when it was during the Nolan era, and I love those movies. But it was a combination of fanboys getting what they want and Joss Whedon getting double canceled. So it's the narrative now is that Joss Whedon's Avengers, Justice League film always 0% sucked, which I never thought was true.
No.
And that it's like, am I capping? Did I just dream up the whole "Do you bleed? You were never a man.
Oh my God!
It was never real. I'm going to bring you in without breaking you. It's more than you deserve." Did everybody just forget that all happened? Well, there was so much
Did people forget that Batman dropped the boat on people?
He dropped an entire car on people too.
Yeah,
he dragged a car.
Batman replaced his passenger seat with a heavy arms Gatling gun.
Yeah,
and the instead of throwing up, everyone was like, "That's our Batman," and and this movie
we were
just more
not.
than
Some of
doing
us
that.
were not.
Now to be fair, I still actually really enjoy Ben Affleck's Batman.
No way.
Dono, give me a minute, okay?
I like parts of his portrayal.
Yeah.
The problem that I've always had, it started with BVS.
Yeah.
It continued into Suicide Squad, actually, and then it continues into this. Is he looks uncomfortable?
Okay.
Was wearing that super padded suit.
Yeah.
And yet the super padded suit is still, I think, one of my favorite bat suits that we've seen on screen so far. just because
the BVS one is fine. I don't understand how you get more hopeful as Batman and go blacker.
That's fair.
Because the whole idea is to have this big shield on your chest as the target because it's armor plated. I mean, that's an idea we've had in the comics where we don't know if it's the idea in the Snyder.
Don't we know by now that the shield stands for hope? No matter what the shield is?
That's the accepted idea. That's the accepted idea is that aim here because it's super plated.
Yeah.
But yet you're going to get a costume where you can't see the big armor plate at all.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you're just a vision in black. It's like, I'm going to shoot anywhere I want because you didn't give me a target. That's what I...
Well, also, in this version specifically, I do like the fact that Batman is more a generally humanistic guy. Except for the epilogue, he was fine. But I also thought he was even chummier than he was in Whedon's version. Yeah. Personally, him, and again, I like the idea of it, but there were a couple moments where I was like, objectively speaking, this doesn't sound like a Batman. And the biggest example of that is at the end when Jean is people,
Oh,
Darkseid's still coming. You have to be ready. And for some reason, like, who just got done gathering the Justice League for this reason says, "Okay, see you around, I guess." And like, when would any Batman say that?
Yeah.
Like he was like too much on the overside, and that's why it's like, I really like his costume. I don't think Ben Affleck I was never like mad when he was chosen, but I mean, like this Batfleck simping is like, he just looks like a guy half the time to me. Well, he just doesn't have that charisma.
Things that I enjoyed. Yeah. Well, hold on. Things that I enjoyed about his version of Batman. Regardless of the script, regardless of Zack Snyder, I enjoyed his swagger. I think he had the Bruce Wayne personality down really well. Even in
him jumping off the helicopter in this movie was good.
Yes, that's true. And even in BVS, I actually really like, one of the few scenes that I really like in BVS is the scene with the Russian, where he goes into the to like the Fight Club and deals with them that way. Like that was very Bruce, and I like the interaction between him and Alfred. I think Jeremy Irons' Alfred is fantastic and continues to be fantastic, in every iteration of it that I've seen. And I appreciate that sort of interaction. I understand that the motherfucker uses guns like every 8 seconds, and that ain't Batman to me, and it ain't ever going to be Batman to me. But then again, so many of the movies have fallen into that trope, including Nolan's for that matter. So it's...
His sticky EMP gun doesn't count.
Walking around.
That was an EMP launcher, not a gun.
That's fair.
Can I please?
Yes, you can.
Because Donovan brought it up.
Yes, please.
Can I please talk about John Jones?
How the CW out-designed a movie?
Wait, hold on.
Team?
Hold on. Do you mean the Green Martian who was gray?
Oh my God.
Which was worse?
Give Martians the worst case of acting you've ever seen.
There are a few characters at DC who I stan. Yeah. John Jones is one of them.
Yeah.
And when I saw that on screen, I honestly wanted to chuck this glass of whiskey at my computer.
No. You like Martha Manhunter?
That was not the Martian Manhunter.
Martha Manhunter.
Why did you say that name?
Why would you meet somebody and go, some call me Martian Manhunter, instead of like, some call me John Johns? What the fuck?
Some call me
the Space Cowboy.
I was just going to go there. Some call me the Gangster of Love. Some call me John Jones. Woo! Woo!
Some call me Tim.
Yeah, I know. Right? Greetings, Tim the Enchanter. No, but that's the thing. Again, it was tacked on at the end.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense other than, here, let's beat the fanboys something.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way that was always intended.
No, it was never intended.
Well, if it was intended, it wasn't intended to happen that way. It was very clear that Zack was given the ability to, spend a certain amount of money on like 3 extra scenes. And he went ahead and decided, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in Martian Manhunter because I was probably going to introduce him in Justice League Part 2. I'm going to go with this established actor who's already my friend, who people have been theorizing may have been Martian Manhunter to begin with. And they're only theorizing that because he's a black man who sounds like Carl Lumbly. And I'm going to go ahead and film those scenes and make it happen. And I'm going to insert, Jared Leto in because Jared Leto owes me a favor. Like that's.
I'm going to throw Joe Manganiello a bone because he never said anything bad about it.
Exactly.
And shave his head.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of dug that look. To be fair, I kind of dug that look on Deathstroke.
And
if you're going to put him back in the armor, at least clean it up a little. Jesus Christ!
I know.
He's in all black again.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Deathstroke.
I am not a fan of fan service when it essentially pulls you out of the plot. Yeah. And for something that's already 4 hours to have what is essentially a useless scene thrown in there, nah, I ain't playing that. I am playing that, and it was easily my least favorite scenes of the movie were the ones that were thrown in there with Martian Manhunter because again, useless. And are we ever going to see him again? Probably not.
No, but it also, like, the whole nightmare scene. I mean, I know we're jumping ahead in review, but
I don't care.
The whole nightmare scene undercuts the scene with Luthor and Deathstroke on the yacht. Like,
it's like 5 seconds later, Deathstroke's in the future.
Yeah,
and
he's in the future, and he's teamed up with Bruce Wayne. Like,
can we
You just said we wanted to kill.
And I was going to say, because we restored that version of the scene because, Zack Snyder made a pledge to not use any Joss Whedon scenes whatsoever, even the ones that made sense, because there was not going to be a solo Batman movie anymore. So getting rid of the, Lex Luthor telling Deathstroke who Bruce is to then set up him being in a Ben Affleck Bruce, Batman movie, which is not happening, made sense. Instead, set up a future, Justice League movie with the Injustice League. Okay, fine. Sure. Go ahead and do that.
If you look at the Joss Whedon tag with Deathstroke and Luthor, it looks the exact same as the Zack Snyder tag here.
Yeah,
it does.
So I'm wondering if it wasn't a new scene or that Josh shot.
An alternate cut.
Maybe Josh used an alternate version.
Yeah, that's very possible. Yeah, that's very possible.
I think Deathstroke's lines are the same, but Luthor's is definitely different.
Okay. Yeah.
But they had the same actresses, as bodyguards and everything, so it had to have been filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
Hope and Mercy.
Oh, well, wait. Well, how?
Not Mercy.
Not Mercy.
Yeah,
Mercy's
Mercy's
dead.
That's right.
Yeah,
Blew her up with
Mercy's dead.
bucket of piss.
yeah,
Mercy got murked.
exactly. Mercy got jar of peed.
Yeah,
Just like the
Even
fans
though
wanted.
she shouldn't have.
Everybody
because-
crying about Ryan Choi getting axed from the film forgot how Zack Snyder killed the Asian character in BVS, I guess.
Yep.
He was just having fun.
Ryan Choi, who serves no function other than Mr. Exposition.
Yes.
Oh God.
I mean, part of me appreciates like the spirit of fan service. Like I think Ryan Choi is like perfectly coherent, but like Martian Manhunter is like, again, the stands of this film are going to say, this is brilliant. He understands DC so much, but objectively, it's like,
No, he fucking doesn't.
no, he doesn't. But it's ridiculous how like against film logic it was to bring him in those two scenes. Like wouldn't Lois bring up that scene to the actual Martha? And she's like, I never talked to you in your apartment. Like,
it would have been better. It would have been better if Ryan Choi was not Cyborg's father, but that if Cyborg's father didn't work at Star Labs and Ryan Choi's character, or if Ryan Choi was the scientist interacting with the police and all this other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Giving him more to do, and maybe you want to throw in the creation of Cyborg in there. That's a little bit of maybe too much or whatever, but just take the daddy issues out of Cyborg, he becomes a lot more likable. And if you give Ryan Choi more to do, maybe he didn't have to be excised from the cut. But what he did here, he was just Papa Pope's sidekick, and he didn't say anything of use, and it didn't say anything other than the plot, other than contradict whatever Papa Pope said.
congratulations, Ryan Choi. You are now a professor of nanotechnology.
Yay!
Well, I will say that the one of the things that is more positive about the Snyder cut is the fact that, and I can understand now why, Ray Fisher was so pissed off.
Oh,
the
yeah.
entire
I was going to get there.
because so much material got cut out. But a lot of it was unnecessary. Like,
And a lot of it was so boring this time. And this isn't Ray Fisher's fault. I want to say it's Junkie XL's fault.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Because anytime you had one of these Cyborg scenes where he's in his own head and he's wearing his Letterman jacket or whatever, like Cyborg's being emotionless half the time or angry. But Junkie XL undercut that first scene of like Papa Pope explaining how your money powers work or whatever with the slowest, most morose music ever. And every time I saw that scene, I wanted to fall asleep because it was almost a lullaby. And I'm like, you couldn't have made this more dramatic or this is why I argue that Zack Snyder didn't edit this film at all, because you would have edited that down for clarity and maybe put a little bit of tension or excitement or emotion there.
Yep.
But instead,
It
we
all
just got these
began in World War II
loaded
with the Nazis.
scenes where everything I shot must be on this film.
Well, and going to that in particular, the everything that was shot has to go into it. especially when it comes to Ray Fisher. Like, yes, I 100% agree with about what you said, Jamal, that, now I fully understand his pain. That what would have been, 40 minutes was cut down to 10. Right. That like he didn't get any of his backstory. We didn't even get to see how he frickin' became Cyborg in Whedon's cut. That could have easily been kept in. That was actually really good stuff. With the football game and the car crash and all that jazz, like that all could have been there,
right?
If they'd made it work.
No, you could have made it work. I mean, those scenes, they still could have been trimmed just a little.
Oh,
bit.
I know. Mm-hmm. Yes,
but you could have put that, at least the creation of Cyborg, in there. You didn't need him, looking at the single mother for 15 minutes.
I mean, she
also, but that scene is like
minutes.
He understands what he can do, but I don't know if Cyborg could do that. And he goes out and does this very terrible thing to this woman, and he smiles as he saves her life, essentially. And then the next time he sees Wonder Woman, he's like, "Fuck the world." It's like, the world includes that woman and her children, right?
Yeah.
And it's more of Snyder's like nihilism, like bleeding through. It's like, okay, the story's not holding up.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Not holding up.
I'm sorry. You mentioned Wonder Woman, so I'm going to have to transition for a moment. Yeah. They hit us over the head with that fucking song.
It was the only theme Junkie XL had. He didn't write a Justice League theme.
No, he did not. He didn't write a Superman theme.
No. He reused Superman theme, which is fine. He reused Lex Luthor's theme.
Yeah.
But he didn't write a Justice League theme. At least did Danny Elfman do Avengers?
Danny Elfman did. Did he do Avengers? No.
I think he did Ultron.
That was Alan
Silvestri.
Yeah.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
But there is an Avengers theme, and they reused the shit out of it now.
Yeah.
There is no, and I didn't like it then, but I love it now. But there is no Justice League theme in this movie.
No.
So what theme did he have? Wonder Woman.
Well, so every time the Justice League is together, they play that guitar riffy thing.
Yeah.
So you can consider it the Justice League.
No. You got to come up with better than the Wonder Woman theme to really make it a theme.
You know what? You want to?
It doesn't count.
You want to give me some fucking fan service? Give me a guitar version of dun 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 dun. Like that would have completely. Yeah, exactly. Like because I mean, obviously they cut out all of Elfman's nods to Batman and Superman themes and shit like that, which had no place in the movies to begin with. So I'm perfectly okay with that because that is just a certain type of fan service.
Desperate.
Yeah,
those were actually the reason I liked the Whedon cut. Actually,
I know.
I think if Jamal watches the theatrical cut, he'll get simultaneously like a boner and simultaneously lose it at the same time, where it just like blink out of existence.
Oh my
because
God.
he'll get so excited that the Donner Superman theme is there, but then so angry that it's with this version of Superman.
I know.
Yeah,
but Ian, like Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah. It was so Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman. We've seen 2 Wonder Woman movies at this point. We've seen Wonder Woman and we've seen Wonder Woman 84. This obviously took place, quote unquote, before the events of Wonder Woman 84, even though they obviously happened in 1984. But Wonder Woman straight out incinerated a man. Like
he murked him so
That was my least favorite scene. And honestly,
she
killed
killed
everybody.
all of them. And she killed the cops downstairs.
She finished off Steppenwolf.
Well, okay.
Whatever, because he's a monster. I don't care about that.
Well, Steppenwolf's fine.
She
but
busted into that room, started slapping guys. They were moving at full force when they hit those walls.
I'm surprised there wasn't the blood splatter from the back of their head and then hitting that column.
No, there wasn't any blood left, Brent. There wasn't any blood left.
No, this is before she ching-chinged everybody.
Okay.
That was the big problem
She
for me.
Wakanda'd.
Yeah.
Well, also, not to steal Jamal's thunder, but like that scene leaked online, and I saw it with like the less than best quality. So I was like, it's kind of cartoony how she's like flipping guys upside down into walls, but I can dig it. When I saw the movie and I saw that like it was like blood splatter everywhere, and she blows a guy up, that disgusted me. And
No.
The thing.
Here's the part that disgusted me.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like people read on Wikipedia and see that she killed Max Warlord.
Yeah.
And it's not like everybody's a Wonder Woman expert saying, "Oh, come on, guys. She's always been this way. She's always had like no kill or killing code. She's an Amazon." Okay, like, shut up. She is not. And I know in the film language they show you that there's a 10-second bomb going off. She has no time to mince around. But the point is, it was clearly done so she could get to that point and show off she was like a badass.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just resent. I just resent the urge to cut the middleman out and show these characters this violent. I really don't like that, because it's like there's a time and a place for, like, escalating threats, but like, honestly, at this point, what makes them different than cops when they just kill with abandon? There's never any excuse for that. And the fact that they're doing it, and then she turns around and smiles at like a London kid. Is
Hello,
like,
princess.
This is
Thank you.
This is so technical.
These
That's-
superheroes wait until you wave an actual gun in their face before they kill you. That's how they're different from cops.
I want to get Chris's opinion, because
Yes.
he is the token taco on the call.
But also, Chris watched the animated Wonder Woman with me, the one that Gail Simone wrote. Where there was
she kills people.
Yeah, where she kills people and she beheads people, and then a very similar scene, with the girl with the ice cream. The girl is like, I want to be just like you, and we had a very similar situation here, and yet somehow more tame than what we got in this fucking movie.
I don't remember her, like, I know that she kills people in that movie, but I don't remember her, like, doing it to the same level.
Beheaded.
Donovan. If you want a peaceful Wonder Woman, this cover is misleading. Go read Wonder Woman Earth 1, Volume 3 or 2, 1. You have to read them all, because you can't make sense of this if you don't read the other
She
ones.
should be about, like a modern
This is the
version of
weird
submission.
Morrison original Wonder Woman that's all about loving submission and domination and stuff, BDSM.
So you mean like the original Wonder Woman, like
the original Wonder Woman?
Exactly.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
If you want that, go read that. But
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's not into BDSM, so he's going to have her kill people. I don't know.
Okay.
Chris, go ahead.
Okay, go,
Wonder
Chris.
Woman. Yeah,
Yes.
Wonder Woman. I mean, just in a general feel of Wonder Woman, like, everyone has a different take on her, just like with Batman or Superman. I've never felt, though, that Wonder Woman was explicitly like, don't kill or kill. Anytime I've ever seen her kill someone, it's like kind of just neutral. Like, it's emotionless. Like, she doesn't feel bad about it, but she doesn't revel in it either. So, like you say, when she blowing people up and then smiling at the camera, smiling at the kids, and it's just like, what is going on here?
Is this real life?
Like, if she kills someone, it should not be something we comment on. Like, when in these movies Batman or Superman kills, it should pop out at us. But Wonder Woman, like, there should be no weight to it. No, it was a weird scene. When you guys were singing the theme, I would just be like, all right, Wonder Woman was in this movie.
I like her.
Wait, can I piggyback on
I like
Chris
her
real quick?
in this film.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brendan.
All right, so my biggest concern with the last film was that tonal whiplash, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you go from serious to jokey. That scene with Wonder Woman is like the textbook definition for me of what tonal whiplash is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, definitely.
And like it's I have a list of flowers and I have a list of thorns for this movie, and that scene up until she goes murderous, is on my list of flowers. But
Yeah.
after that scene, when she kills the guy and then she turns around and smiles, you can be anything you want to be, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, even a badass soldier who can fly planes in the military. That's what you can be. You can
and I'm
drop
like-
bombs on motherfuckers in these United States.
And I'm like, well, what's the message here, though? What's the message of that scene? And I'm like, I get it that she is a warrior and that she is, that's the whole conceit. The whole conceit of Wonder Woman is that, along with William Moulton Morrison's idea of bond and submission, is that you preach love, but practice war, right? But in this film, where everyone is just so bleak, it just doesn't add anything to that scene.
Do you want to know what the message was, Brendan? Zack Snyder had full creative control. That's what the message was.
Meta message.
Because
Wonder Woman
Yeah.
and the Amazons in this movie, I think, got the best plus up.
Oh,
I know people
yeah.
are saying
Oh, yeah,
Cyborg.
yes.
Yes.
I found his scenes to be totally boring, but
The-
in terms of from the theatrical version,
Yes.
for me, Wonder Woman and the Amazons were 2 plus-ups. I like this version of the scene better, where Wonder Woman kills that guy. As fun as it is to make fun of it, I liked it better.
Yeah,
I think it flowed better. Her power showed more, I think. In the Amazon scene, all the stuff that was added, left in there, like the sacrifice of it, and I thought really just the one shot. Maybe this was in reaction to the critiques of, oh, look at Patty's Wonder Woman, and they're covered, and Zack Snyder's Wonder Woman are in midriff bearing bras and skirts or whatever, and it's like, okay, but he threw in that one shot of the one Amazon across the island to be like, what's going on? And she's like dressed normally as a Greek person in the ancient times or something. Right. But I was like, I don't know if that was on purpose to be like, I can be feminist too.
I was good with it until
the longer length of that Amazon scene made me like wash all that critique away, because those women were so powerful and formidable that I forgot all about that stuff from the past 3 years.
Yeah,
it was too long, but I did like it.
I was good with it until they, lit the torch of Gondor.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the scenes that could have been cut down.
Yes,
and
I mean,
as an aeronautics engineer and having taken a lot of physics, the arc that she pulled that arrow back on, much less just as small as that bow was, just that a little bit. I was like, give this girl a ballista and aim it up high, and you might have the power in the arc to get this arrow over here.
Well,
because just releasing it's not gonna. That's just kinetic potential energy of that much.
Right.
She didn't push that arrow; she just released it. So I was like, if you're an Amazon with godlike power, I would have imagined you chuck a javelin. That I might have believed more, but
since we're kind of heading there, gents. The biggest change, the biggest change from the Joss Whedon cut to the Zack Snyder cut is the re-inclusion of Darkseid and his entire arc, where for the most part he's a mindless Hulk and occasionally has lines, but we also get Desaad, and we also get I'm blanking on his other name, the other
Granny Goodness.
Granny Goodness. Thank you. Yeah, Granny Goodness is there.
That was not Granny Goodness.
I mean, it was supposed to be
a blonde woman as tall as Darkseid holding a staff.
Yeah,
looked like Granny Goodness.
That was not Granny Goodness.
Until they cast Tilda Swinton as Granny Goodness.
I will say I actually don't mind this design for Darkseid. I think that it's reminiscent of the Final Crisis, Darkseid, which I don't mind. I think that it had
later on the film.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know.
It looks like a cutscene from God of War.
It kind of does.
From ancient times.
Yeah,
I don't love the CG.
They didn't wear shirts way back then.
The special effects could have been way better. That much I'll definitely give you there. That we could have got a better rendered version of it. But I think the actual design of Darkseid ain't that bad. It just needed more polish.
I'm gonna go. Sorry.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, yeah, like Ralph saying, he's not crazy about the effects in general. I think this is a problem with a lot of modern movies and TV shows, not just Zack Snyder, not just Justice League, where everything is over-designed because you can build in a computer. Right. Nobody actually thinks about graphic design. They don't think about how it pops on different screens. They're just like, I can put in more textures. But
that was my problem with Steppenwolf as well.
God.
But he was at least rendered well in almost every shot he was in. Here's my thing.
And this is more of a story
design.
This is more of a story issue. Personally, as being a guy who knows the New Gods and is a fan of Kirby's New Gods, why Steppenwolf?
Yeah,
I know. I've always
why not Calabac?
Thank you.
It would have made
more sense. Perfect.
It would have made more sense if it was Calabac. I mean,
because
if you didn't want to kill Calabac at the end of the story, I can understand why you would use Steppenwolf. But Calabac, from a story standpoint, makes more sense.
Yeah.
Calabac's entire arc in the original Forever People is him constantly trying to win Darkseid's favor over Orion.
Also, you get Michael Dorn to voice him again.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
I mean, why the hell not?
Here's an honest question I have: like how much, to whatever extent we can criticize like the inclusion of Darkseid and like how the fourth world characters depicted in this, how much of that is honestly kneecapped by Thanos in the MCU?
Oh, it completely decapped.
Oh yeah,
100%.
yeah,
I mean, 'cause
absolutely.
we can't really blame Snyder for that.
No,
Yeah.
that was a timing issue more than anything else. But I think they would have gotten comparisons no matter what.
Even outside of the
happened.
movies, yeah, they've always been compared to each other.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that's like so much cooler than Thanos. But like Thanos is like big meme daddy right now. That like he never had a chance.
Yeah,
I'm scared. I mean, Marvel's beating them to the punch with the Eternals movie that's supposed to come out. It's already
Right.
shot
Yeah.
and in the can.
That's true.
So
Oh, yeah.
that's beating this New Gods movie to the punch, which, as much as I liked Mr. Miracle, now that I've read even more Tom King stuff,
Yeah.
I'm scared that guy can't write. And that he's hired on the New Gods. Much less, as much as I liked Selma and I liked the 13 doc from Ava DuVernay, didn't really enjoy all that much of the Central Park 5 miniseries.
Right.
Definitely did
Wrinkle
not
in Time.
enjoy the Oprah movie she directed. So I'm questionable on her. Like, where do these people's talents lie? I don't know that they're up here. They're maybe in the middle. I don't know.
I liked about 3/4 of the Central Park 5 miniseries. I think the last episode kind of dragged a little bit, quite frankly.
Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm too close to that stuff.
No, that's fair.
I was here when all that stuff was going down.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, I was too young to really remember a lot of it. So
I was here. I was in diapers, but I was
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
I mean,
with-
I was
Yeah,
attendance.
With Ava DuVernay, I wouldn't judge her on When They See Us, which is the name of the Central Park 5 thing, guys.
yes, thank you.
Sorry.
But it'd be more fair, I think, to look at A Wrinkle in Time, which I will admit I didn't really like that much.
Ooh,
Like,
yeah, that
I
was
know,
bad. That was
But
bad.
visually, it was really well done.
Oh, it was beautiful. I know it was important because of representation, but it just did things with the story where I was like, what? Did you read the book? I love your book. Did you read the book? Oh my God.
I'm going to share something real quick here. Sorry, since we're talking Steppenwolf. So this is the original.
No.
Sorry, this is the
Is it?
this is the Joss Whedon version of Steppenwolf.
Technically, Steppenwolf first appeared in that BVS leaked scene. Remember we were talking about that in the
Yes.
episode, and then it premiered in the Ultimate Edition before we saw this.
Exactly. But people who still haven't seen the Ultimate Cut don't know that existed because they went to the movie theater. You know, like yes, it technically existed. The design existed, but it exists in a version that's only really been released digitally. So
also, we don't talk about the pre-Josh Brolin Thanos anyway. So why
that's
would we-
true.
Yeah,
Very good point.
He
Now,
did look cool with his blue eyes, though.
this is the final version. You know, this is the Zack Snyder version.
Somebody put a picture of the Zack Snyder version of Steppenwolf against Grumpy Cat. Now I can't unsee it.
yeah,
You
So
asshole!
sad.
You asshole!
Steppenwolf
Now
has
it's
a
all I
sign.
can see.
That's literally why I was just laughing. Not that you guys could hear me, but the minute you transferred to this, I'm just like, oh, look at his widow nose.
but it's Steppenwolf by way of Rob Liefeld.
It's
This looks like a
Yeah.
Liefeld design.
You're right.
Yeah.
Actually.
like I said before, like trypophobia. Oh my God, Jesus!
And
was
yet,
just
I prefer this version. I actually prefer this version of Steppenwolf.
He looks better.
He looks
No.
better.
But again, that goes back to the whole log line of this movie.
Yeah.
It's better, but the hurdle
Yeah.
that you had to jump for it to be better wasn't that high.
He even has more to do. But
he does have more to do. Yes,
But if you would cut 2 of the Desaad scenes, then I would like this shit a lot more because he kept going back to his cutscene. You know,
And I-
he
and I-
kept going.
Talk to Desaad one time
Wait,
and then talk
also-
to Darkseid. That's it.
The save points. They were save
Yeah.
points. They were literal save points.
and also I feel like one of those Desaad scenes was repeated word for word verbatim.
You're right. Yes. Yeah.
When he found the first cube, and then when he found the second cube.
Second, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Have you conquered 50,000 planets yet?
Oh shit! I thought you made $50,000.
I got it. I swear. My buddy's holding it for me. I'll have it for you next week. I promise. Just give me more time.
It's
Yeah.
for
I
Ray Ray. It's
wonder-
for Ray Ray.
I wonder if this original, the Justice League version of Steppenwolf with the red horns and stuff, was
Yeah.
a version that they had in the art wall in
Probably.
the original one, because they switched to it so fast that there's Funko Pops of him. He's on T-shirts.
Yep.
The merchandising part of WB moved on that quick, where that
Yeah.
was put together. Whereas, if you go back to Ares in the first Wonder Woman, his Build-A-Figure from the Mattel line at that point was the version you saw in Justice League, where he had the big goat helmet head.
Right.
And then you watch the movie, and he does not appear as that at all. And you're going, wait, the toy looks like this. The movie looks like this. So
Oh, no, I'm
last minute.
I'm sure the marketing department of Warner Brothers, as soon as Zack left the set and couldn't finish the film, was just like, okay, let's go in. How toyetic can we make this fucking thing?
Oh yeah,
God.
Definitely. Booyah.
We got
Booyah.
action figures to sell.
Yeah.
And as someone who worked in a toy store when the movie came out, none of them sold. None.
So like,
Well, it didn't say Justice League on it. It said DC Multiverse on it.
yeah.
Multiverse.
No, there were Justice League figures.
They were
the smaller
JL.
ones.
Yeah, the JL figures. Yeah.
I want to try to be as humanly positive as possible with this while also pointing out the negatives. So I actually want to know, like, point to a positive that you feel was better than Whedon's version.
The Flash.
The Flash. Thank you. I still think that they would have been better off not calling him Barry.
He's not Barry Allen.
Oh no,
Not even close.
he's not. But
He's not Wally West either.
no, he's not. You know, like they would have
He's
been
Bart.
fine.
He's Bart.
You're right.
He's John Fox.
John Fox.
I believe it.
Wow.
He's still my brother in this cut.
Deep fucking cut. Jesus.
Oh my god.
And he still runs weird. That weird running motion he has.
little
throws
jet-
me
He
yeah.
off.
doesn't know how to run. Nobody ever taught him how to run.
Look at
Yeah.
the guy. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. I mean,
well, what,
but you could hire a movement coach or something.
I actually
He's one of these guys who's just naturally skinny, who doesn't actually have to exercise. He just flails about.
I dug the slow motion running to a point, but it got a bit much. And I feel like at that point, Zack Snyder was like, "Wow, Quicksilver was awesome."
yeah,
It's hard to do the Flash in a movie when the Quicksilver's been like in 6 movies by now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
They had like 5 seasons of The Flash by then, and now we're on season 7 or whatever, like almost
Right.
final season. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm still happy for the inclusion of that, one scene in the Flash TV show where the two of them meet. Like that actually was really freaking awesome. But
Oh yeah, that was ill. That was awesome.
yeah,
No,
it's just at the same time, the one Flash thing that really worked in this movie was when he turned back time. Like when he actually, like reversed time and saved everybody that way. Like that was a really sweet visual that I'm glad that they reinserted in. Because I
I
think
think they should
that
have
worked
saved
really
it, though.
well.
They used it twice. They used it one too many times. They should have saved it for the end instead of doing it with the, like, him with them dropping the cube into the goo scene. Like, him reversing it then, I think is fine. Or save it for the end. But, like, to do both, I guess you set up the idea that he's done it
it's
before.
Just a tease,
Yeah.
right.
But
Yeah.
it just made this Flash seem incompetent.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get there fast enough still, even though he's
right.
in
And,
turn
like,
back time. He still missed his cue and couldn't get there fast enough. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Well, he was injured, wasn't he?
His Barry Allen was way better when he wasn't joking, which was like 0 parts in this movie. But like the few times where he didn't have a joking line, I was like, okay, I could get behind this Barry Allen. But like, please don't let Ezra Miller be himself on screen. Let him be an actor and make him act.
I
Like he's being himself when he's being the jokey person. and that's not Barry.
I honestly appreciate that they didn't include the scene because in the Justice League version,
I love that we've
League.
started calling that.
the Justice League version,
now the official
where
name.
he
They should
comes,
change the IMDb.
where he comes
Yeah, right.
to the where they take him to the Batcave for the first time, and he's just like running around and like sits in the Batmobile, and I'm glad that wasn't in there because that
Yeah.
was one of the most annoying scenes in that version.
Absolutely.
He's still a jazz to be there.
Brunch.
Yeah.
Oh,
the brunch line.
brunch. Yes.
Yeah,
Glad it's gone. Glad that line's gone.
that was Joss trying way too hard.
That really was, yeah. But like the stuff that they did actually include for him, and also that he didn't land on Wonder Woman's boobs. That was
Oh,
I
yeah.
missed that. No, I'm kidding.
No, that was
I didn't even notice it the first time I
that
watched that.
should have been
movie.
a sign actually of who Joss was really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that it was in both that and Age of Ultron.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was
There were
weird.
earlier signs.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I didn't even think about that until just now, Donovan.
Who is it? Black Widow and who else?
Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I want to be all like We told y'all. We warned you years ago. I mean, you should have known something was up when Charisma Carpenter was fired from Angel. Like, it was like, this is weird. Something's wrong.
Yeah, that was like 20 years ago now.
The whole concept of Dollhouse never clued anybody in, I guess.
I mean, that was a red flag.
Oh my God!
But at least Charisma Carpenter brought receipts this time around. Ray Fisher,
that's true. Yeah.
I only see the smoke. I don't see the fire. Charisma
worms.
Carpenter brought receipts. She's like, here's what happened. Here's what this motherfucker did. Here's what was said. Here's how it impacted my career.
And
Ray
you know
Fisher's
also,
like,
Ray
he was
Fisher's-
mean to me.
Ray Fisher's also like they wanted to make sure that they show that I had a penis, and like Vision's actor said the same thing. That, like
Paul Bettany said that?
Wait, what?
yeah, Paul
Josh?
Bettany said that like they wanted people to know that like Vision had a dick, and Ray Fisher said that they wanted people to know that Cyborg had it. Look at Ian.
What
He
the
didn't have
hell?
There were scenes where his body ends like right here.
He's a torso. That's the whole thing.
You guys have not heard this, but this is legit.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
Why would I make this
remember
up?
It's only from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
On a
Tell me more.
on a semi-related note, was Cyborg's body as similar to Steppenwolf's in the Whedon version, or was I just recognizing that now?
Well, no, that's why it was different, because they were too. That's probably the complaint that the note that they got was that they looked too similar in the same shot.
Got it.
Because they
Okay.
were both made of metal of too many parts and whatever.
Got it. Okay.
One was just sharp, and the other one was crinkly.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
Also, the other one had an
like
Iron Man helmet.
Yeah, rolled up aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hate that cyborg design. I really do.
It's
I'm
really
so-
weird looking. It's really
It's-
weird looking, and like the
but
whole
that
time when
was
he's
the
trying
one-
to fly, I'm like, why don't you know how to fly? Just fucking fly. Like, why do I gotta watch you figure it out?
that was the
It's
one.
in your brain.
Honestly, that was the one thing in the Justice version that I liked, was at the end of the movie, he actually smooths out and looks
Yes.
more like the comic book version of Cyborg.
Yeah.
That leads into one of my least favorite things about this movie:
Okay. Go ahead.
the death of Papa Pope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Useless.
He got
That
Dr.
is
Manhattan
useless.
so fast.
to put the like the register on the on the mother box, like it just seemed like it was, and it's really weird for me to say these words for a 4-hour movie. That shit was rushed. Like it
Like
just
them trying to do Pa Kent, but the idea that like death is a sacrifice and it's noble, which is a moron's view, is like a theme with his movies.
That is like,
This is a good death in 300.
Yeah.
And the way that Rorschach goes out, which is like slightly different than it is in the comic book, and then with Pa Kent and the whole Capitol building blowing up in BVS, and then like this is clear as day as to what this is, and it's like. I'm not gonna say it's gross, but I think it's just kind of juvenile.
it is.
wait, I'm sorry. The Capitol building blowing up in VVS and then barely even mentioned later on in the movie. Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
That was the point of no return with that movie. If you like that movie beyond that point, I don't know what to say to you.
Yeah, no, that was one of my biggest. He can cover the wheelchair and no one would have died.
Yeah.
He literally could have done that, but he was emotionally distraught. And okay, we're just
And
getting
lead
we
and
don't
lead.
know that.
Also lead,
remember.
yeah.
They don't mention his lead weakness until that moment,
Yeah.
and that's in the ultimate cut too. You don't know that it's covered in lead in
Yeah.
the actual version. But of
Exactly.
course, that's 5 years ago.
But he can't hear it.
But he moves at super speed.
He can hear the
He can
frequency.
see the Flash. He can see the Flash going fast. But he can't stop a bomb.
Raph. Breathe.
Inhale, exhale. Inhale,
We've
exhale.
got time.
Is this in the Superman
Oh, no.
fan handbook?
We've got time because we haven't even gotten to Superman yet.
No, we haven't.
But
All 5 seconds of
See
them.
that?
God.
Most of this is Superman notes.
God.
Because
So
Why? What do you have to say about Superman?
Hold on. Chris, go ahead.
Don't ask him that.
no,
No,
Chris first.
since we're talking about nice things, I actually was enjoying the movie before Superman showed up. Yes, there were parts that
Yeah.
were too long. All
Yes.
of the ancient lamentation singing, the
Aquaman's
sniffing, the sweat,
groupies.
like, all these long scenes were kind of annoying. I was like tearing at my face, whatever. But I was like, oh, you know what? This is actually like fleshing out the characters. We're seeing more Flash. We're seeing way more Cyborg. Again, like Cyborg is just a huge leap, like in terms of the character.
Aquaman is better in this version. I'd actually say that Aquaman is better in this version than he was in the Whedon version.
Yeah, and the thing is, so when we get to the point where they're like, let's bring back Superman. Yeah, it's rushed because it's just kind of like they don't really talk about it that much. And then the movie kind of went downhill for me. Like, I don't think I would have loved it, but I was kind of like, man, this movie was great until they brought up Superman again.
Chris, that was the one scene that he cut out, was them talking in whatever Nightcrawler, whatever they're in, where they were like, fuck, we need Superman, we got our ass kicked. That was the one scene he cut out of this entire movie. Yeah. Everything else he left in.
All right, Raph, I'm gonna share an image. We've been waiting for this. We've been leading to this.
Look, he's not frowning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And most importantly, Raph, do you notice how smoothly shaven he is?
For all your podcast listeners, we're looking at the black suit version of Superman when he shows up at Alfred's thing.
Yes, indeed. A suit that should not have been removed in the Whedonverse version, mind you. Like, I think the
it was red and blue, and then like Snyder color corrected it for this Snyder cut. It was always red and blue, when they released that, he made it black. It was
the studio. Really, as the story goes, the studio, Warner Brothers, would not allow them to shoot a black and white suit. So Snyder said, let me do some tests before everything happened to make sure that I can design a suit so that we can color correct it to be the way I want to look. So that's why in all the behind the scenes, whatever you see, he's in the red and blue.
Really?
So his intent, once the Snyder Cut thing happened and they said, do whatever you want, leave us alone, we'll take all the subscribers. He said, I'm going to do the black suit Superman, and that's what he did. I think the mistake was leaving the black suit on at the coda.
Yes.
The shirt.
Yeah.
I was like, nope.
Well,
what's the matter with him?
And also,
this is also like a Spider-Man 3 black suit theme, because it's not. He's not long-haired and wielding cable guns like he did like in the John Bogdanov comic books. Like, it's not really the black suit. It's just it's like a color variant in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Like, it's just Superman color black.
Especially the textures.
I still like the original Justice League movie marketing where Batman has the version of this suit with the silver bat on his all-black bat suit. That's the Batman suit that I wanted to see. Like, give me a big fucking silver bat to shoot at instead of just the all-black stuff.
You mean like the sonar suit from Batman and Robin?
Yeah, I like that sonar suit. Yeah, the inverse of what you're holding up, Brandon.
Mm-hmm. Let's kill Batgirl later. We have a city to save.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze version in the Snyderverse. Bring it.
Well, I mean, I think that one of the stupidest moments in this entire film was the Iron Man-esque choosing of the suit. When he goes into
you could have cut.
Yeah, exactly. When he goes into the area. And by the way, I am just for the fuck of it sharing Spider-Man 3's suit right now for comparison's sake. Like,
am I wrong? No,
you're not wrong.
You know,
I see you, Raph. I see you, Raph. I was just about to mention I saw Spider-Man 3 with Raph and Ian.
Oh yeah,
and they just walked down 8th Avenue doing the stupid little dance.
I love it.
Oh yeah. No, it's absolutely one of my favorite moments of life right there. But no, like I think that in general, having him, quote unquote, choose the suit like that, which was clearly an inserted scene, kind of took away from it for me. Like, just
I don't understand why he does it.
I don't understand why he does it. There's no reason for it anyway, which is why.
Guys.
Yeah.
And the voiceover, too.
Pitch black is the symbol of hope.
Okay, wait a minute.
What are you guys talking about?
Wait a minute. Hold on.
From before the Big Bang, there was darkness. So that's where Superman is. He's pre-Big Bang.
Yeah.
He's about the Big Bang in
black on the third day.
Where's how do I get out the call? Where's the leave button for this call at?
I haven't had enough ranting from Raph, which is why I feel like this is like the perfect segue to it. So, Mr. Suhu, I know you have tons of notes on this. And Jamal, feel free to cut in when you need to.
Okay.
It is Superman time. The floor is yours.
Okay, so there's going to be like some like current event stuff in here too, but I've probably made this argument before when we talked about BVS and Man of Steel, but Zack Snyder fundamentally does not comprehend the concept of Superman at all.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
If comprehension was behind a wall, like the wall between Zack Snyder and Superman is the thickness of the universe itself, always expanding. He doesn't get it. He does not get it.
The S stands for hope, though.
No, here's the thing. He understands like the words and the symbolism, but the metaphor escapes him. It's far over his head.
I don't even think he understands that much. I think he's had it explained to him by
And
Jeff
he uses
Johns repeatedly.
Right. He uses the words, he uses the ideas, he presents them, but then he doesn't deliver them. And I've already made this. I've said this like a billion times. I'm sick of it.
Can you say it again?
It's if Zack Snyder and Superman, like if Superman was on like one side of the multiverse, the infinite amount of universes would exist between him and Zack Snyder, right? Like there is no alternate universe where Zack Snyder understands Superman. That's how it's impossible. It's scientifically impossible. It just baffles. Anyway, my point is, this is the funny thing. I wrote in my notes, and I wrote these right after I watched the movie. I felt like, despite the fact that they felt off, I felt like I actually enjoyed Superman's presence more here than in BVS and the last part of Man of Steel.
But even in this movie, he's basically a weapon.
Yeah, no, that's it.
Precisely.
But he fills the role in the Justice League that I kind of like. Like he's the big gun. When the rest of the league is like the idea that Superman gets held up and then he does it in a Joss movie too. And I enjoyed that part. I remember saying I enjoyed that because he comes in, he sort of like holds down the big bad all by himself while the rest figure out a solution. That's sort of a version of Superman that I like in the very basic, like, oh, Superman's the most powerful hero. This is so cool. He's fighting Darkseid. He's fighting this guy. He can hold them down. While the rest, like my favorite Just JLA story ever is the Grant Morrison story where the angels invade and Asmodeus and Superman wrestle to a stand. I love that story. And right before that, he freaking holds the moon in orbit while the freaking devil of the DC universe tries to pull it into the earth. Like, I love that stuff. And Zack Snyder presents it even though he doesn't understand the meaning of it. And so, like, I get that. But, like, okay, so there's a couple of things here because I've really had a lot of time to think about it. I've had 7 years to think about this, 8 years to think about this. So my thing is, let me just look at my notes. The biggest thing...
Painstaking notes. Literal pain, by the way, because he's the biggest Superman fan.
I mean, let's actually talk about my emotional journey since Man of Steel, right?
Oh no!
Oh man,
Isn't that a whole separate podcast?
Oh shit!
I'm gonna make it real quick.
All right,
Don't you have your own podcast to do that on? Raph Speaks or something?
Not anymore. I deleted the channel because I wasn't using it. My point is, like, basically, like, I've come to the point where, like, I really don't care if other people like this version of Superman because everyone's allowed to like what they like and take from everything what they will. But, like, I just really don't get why people think this is Superman because, first of all, he spends a lot of time doubting his own mission. And he's had it instilled in him since Pa Kent when he tells his dad, should I have let my friends die? And Pa Kent says, maybe? That is not a foundation for a self-assured superhero anywhere.
Nope.
Anywhere. So I've always had that problem. And it still continues here because he stalls on the farm and he spends time with his fiance and his mom, and he doesn't immediately go, oh, the world needs me. There's a problem. Steppenwolf's here. You know, I love you, Lois. You know, it's great that I'm back, but the world needs me. And, you know, I know you. And Lois should be like, oh, you know, you always have me to come back to, blah, blah, blah. And he goes off. They do that in Superman and Lois in the first freaking episode. And that's why I love it so much. But, like... his motivations are so weird. They don't make sense. They're
built around selfishness.
Yeah, the ideas are there. Like when there's that montage in BVS where Superman goes around saving the world and people question why he exists. And I like the idea of that, right? Like being introspective, like a Superman that's introspective and a world that questions him. Zack set that up perfectly in Man of Steel because, again, Superman and his people destroyed Metropolis, right? Yeah. That's the outside perspective. Yeah. No one really knows that Superman was fighting. I mean, like, they know that Superman kind of fought for them, but they don't really know. So the suspicion is there. And my point is really, like, he has this whole arc through these 3 movies, but it's not earned. He didn't earn anything.
Can we focus?
He didn't earn the love and adoration that Batman has for him. He didn't earn the trust of humanity that he should be their savior, like their go-to guy, and he doesn't earn this. What does he earn out of the resurrection? I don't even understand who he is after that resurrection. We don't talk to him. We don't get to do anything with him.
Can we focus on the fact that he gets his personality back by putting on a shirt? Like that seems to be like the final like nail in the coffin of him getting his Superman back. Like his
surprised it didn't sparkle when he put that last button together.
I know.
Really should have.
It was a bit much.
It's a solar powered. It's a shirt infused with all the solar energy that's been absorbed by the Kryptonian ship, and that's why whatever.
And it's all plaid, but. And you mentioned Superman and Lois, which makes it even more glaring because from the pilot episode of Superman and Lois, in the first 4 minutes, they tell you everything you need to know about who Superman is, what he stands for, what type of person he is. In 4 minutes. And Zack Snyder couldn't do it in 3 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Oh, and so here's my other part about it, and this is going to tie into current events.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not that Zack Snyder can't do it. He won't do it, though.
He doesn't know how.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't understand the character.
He has made perfectly clear. Yeah. He has made perfectly clear that even though his S stands for hope, that he doesn't...
It really stands for slaughter.
Well, yeah, exactly. But... but like he doesn't actually understand the fact that he is people first more than anything else. He is people first.
What a concept! Someone being selfless.
Exactly.
That's why he killed Zod, guys. He's people first.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, at this point, Brent, I can understand that. Yeah, and I'm actually. I won't say I'm okay with it because I'm lying.
I'm
not okay with it. But I understand it. Like I understand the reasoning behind what he did, and in the Zack Snyder universe, it makes sense because that's Zack's thinking. I get it. I'm not going to argue against it because who cares? Yeah. So the other point I want to make, and this has been a sticking point for me really for a while now, and Zack only made it worse with this movie, I'm going to tie this into recent events that affect me personally. Zack. Yeah, Zachary. What's his middle name? Zachary Edward Snyder. ZES, as I like to call him. As he loves it when I call him that.
ZES on the CGS feed. Yes.
I'm gonna tie it to very recent events because basically the Nightmare universe exists because Superman had a bad day and he took it out on the entire planet.
So you had a bad day.
A whole plot of injustice right there. Yeah.
So here's my thing: well, okay, it's a plot of injustice, which is a cool alternate story. It happens in Kingdom Come, and he doesn't do that. He retires because everyone prefers the guy who killed Joker as opposed to what he does, which is try to bring Joker to justice. My point is, though, Superman is like this metaphor for immigrants, right? And like, so I actually kind of get what Zack was trying to do in the beginning because it's like, oh, Superman's an immigrant. Yeah. Not everyone trusts him or likes him.
Right.
That is part of the immigrant. That is part of my life experience, even though I was born here. Right.
Yeah.
And now we come to the last week where we had a guy who had a bad day and shot up a bunch of Asians. I'm sorry to make it so dark and political, but like that reaction is the same reaction Superman has in the Nightmare universe.
Timing is timing, yeah.
So he also represents immigrants, but he also represents an angry white person's reaction too at the same time. I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't.
Yeah. So yeah, you said you didn't want to make it dark, bringing up political stuff, but I think it's very hard to look at any art recently and not see like a political motivation behind it because. Right. I feel like Snyder's worldview, first of all, like I think we could all agree that like superheroes just got progressively darker, starting around 86. And mind you, I think Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen are great books, but everyone took the wrong lesson from those.
Agreed.
They're like,
Yes.
they're like
Absolutely agree.
Absolutely.
being positive, that being hopeful, like that's for suckers. And I think in the real world, it's definitely like the feeling we've had, like, you know, I'll say I'm a hippie liberal who's always like, oh, I don't want to hurt brown people. I love Arabs. And then, you know, the World Trade Center gets torn down. So I look like an idiot for that.
Yeah.
And that's the worldview that's coming more and more, like we're getting split between like the cynicism and the hope. And I mean, I have been seeing people push back in recent years. Like I think the good shows like The Good Place or Ted Lasso are basically people being like, fuck you, the world can be a beautiful, wonderful place.
Mm-hmm.
Mind you, I think Jason Sudeikis should write a Superman movie because that would be amazing.
See,
That'd
but
be-
yeah,
that'd
Lasso
be-
doesn't-
I'd be into it. I'd be into it.
Ted Lasso is the Superman that we need.
Yeah, no, he is basically like a good natured, but he's not perfect. He screws
Right.
up all the time.
But I mean, you know, but not to interrupt, Chris, but
It's okay.
in that regard, I mean, there's always been sort of like a through line of more positive material. I mean, even look at something like My Name is Earl, which is, you know, cynical, but there is a positive streak. You know, it's all about doing the right thing and trying to make amends with people, right? So there have been little spots of that, you know, and I agree with you, like Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso is such a great show. I can't wait for the next season. But again, you know, there's the hardest thing about being a Superman fan, especially in the modern context of, you know, what Zack Snyder has done, is you constantly, and Raph, I think you probably know how this feels also, you constantly have to feel like you're defending him against the one image that most people have of the character, which is the Richard Donner film. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah.
And you're constantly being accused of only referencing that film, which is, you know, let's be honest, it's one of my favorite films of all time. You know, it's the film that got me into comics in the first place.
Yeah.
But there have been other interpretations of the character over the years that I've loved equally as well. There's a Gestalt version of Superman as a character that exists. The core of that character, the altruism, the sense of right and wrong, the wanting to do good for the sake of doing good,
Yeah.
has always been a constant through line.
And it sucks. It sucks that Superman and Lois is out there right now for this movie, for the sake of this movie, because it's been what, 4 episodes.
Four episodes, yeah.
And within the scope of 4 episodes, I feel like they get the characters of both Superman and Lois Lane better than they got in 3 movies here.
Hell, they got it within 1 episode of Supergirl also.
Yes, absolutely. 100% the case.
Yeah,
Because
that first episode is really good.
yeah, it really was.
I really like. I didn't think Tyler Hoechlin was going to catch me as Superman, but as soon as I saw like that, after I watched the episode, it was like, no, he's good.
And for that matter, it's a better supersuit. It really is like better than anything we've gotten so far in the movies. Like it's something like way more streamlined and effective than what we've gotten.
I don't hate the BVS Man of Steel suit.
Okay.
I don't hate it. It just is,
That's fair.
like it's not the like I think the suit I've least liked is actually the Superman Return suit because the burgundy red doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. But definitely the DC Rebirth-esque suit that Hoechlin is wearing right now, I think is actually probably the best of the bunch.
It's good. It's
as someone who, it's going to make me look terrible, but like as someone whose initial personality was heavily imprinted by the 1978 Christopher. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I watched that movie 700 times in my childhood.
That
How
doesn't.
could I not be? How could that not be a fundamental part of my personality?
I was gonna say, man, like,
up, right?
it doesn't make you look terrible. It makes you look like a Superman.
No,
fan. Like,
it just makes me like it just like really outs me as like a Superman nut.
No,
But, like,
that's fair. That's fair.
Like,
but
I mean, not that you guys didn't know that already. It's not like I've ever been really subtle about it.
Exactly.
Right?
There's two things I know about you. You're a Superman fan, and your parents are no. Okay.
No, my parents are alive. Well, one of them is alive. But like the point is like, yeah, I think everyone points to that part of me that's like, yes, I absolutely love the Christopher Reeve movie. I can quote it end to end. I know if I watch it another 100 times, I could probably quote the 4-hour extended version end to end.
Right.
I know it really well.
Yeah.
It is part of my fundamental personality. But the thing is, it's not just the Christopher Reeve Superman I based like my idea of Superman on. It's the comics I've read in 1989. 32 years of reading comics. You know, like there is like this. Yeah, there's this gestalt version of Superman. This fundamental core idea of Superman that, you know, a lot of yes, it's been adapted multiple times over and over, and there's different versions, but a lot of them really get it. And the only one that really hasn't, and it really crushed my heart when I first saw it, was the Man of Steel one. Well, it tried, but then it just missed the mark. And then I was constantly hoping that there was a reason for this, that they were going to have him go through an arc and then become the guy I want him to be.
Right. And
it just never materialized. And the thing is, I kept hoping, and then we got the nightmare scene again, and it just reinforces, especially that scene where Superman's holding the skeleton of Lois Lane, and it's like, well, fuck. They really just want to show that Superman can easily be corrupted and destroy the world, and it's all his fault, and that Batman has to stop him. And it's like, so this is really the narrative you really want to force on me. And it's like, well, what do you want me to do? I can't lie and say I enjoy this. I can't lie and say like this is I will accept that people like it and people are into it, but like I'm never gonna do it. I'm never. You might as well ask me to like chop my arm off. I mean, like, but like, but like, and this isn't anyone here, obviously, because you guys, you know, especially Brent, like, we disagree on it, but like, we don't go at each other at it.
No.
But like, especially talking about it on the internet is fucking impossible because people just like, oh, you don't understand, and they throw stuff at you, and it's like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, oh, you've changed my mind? You've changed my heart on Zack Snyder's ideas of superheroes? No. What do you want me to say?
This goes back to my Superman thesis at the beginning of the BVS comic timing episode.
Which is still one of the most epic things you've ever put on podcasts, Brent. It is really, really good.
Jamal just proved it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a Gestalt version of Superman. He put the words into my mouth now that I couldn't form 4 years ago. There is a Gestalt version, and that's the most popular version.
Yeah.
And I think Zack Snyder wanted to move away from that because Superman Returns failed, and that went in the direction of that, where failed in terms of box office popularity, reception, whatever.
I saw that movie 14 times.
Let's go in the. You were the only one.
Yeah.
The opposite direction. Let's go in the opposite direction.
I continue to point out that it took until the 14th time for you to dislike that movie.
Yes.
No, it didn't. You're lying. No, because it took a long time after that.
I know.
I think they went, let's go in the opposite direction, and then what's the most interesting story we can tell in that direction?
Injustice.
And that ultimately ended up being the Injustice version, this Zack Snyder version,
that's the thing. I
where
like
Superman
the Injustice
turns
version.
bad.
I like the story of Injustice. I just don't. I don't know. Like
you just don't want it to be. You don't want it to be your main Justice League version,
right?
Can I intercept? Not intercept, but like
that Injustice League, that Injustice version of Superman though goes like if you read the comic book, it goes from like it's a big turn, and it still doesn't really make that whole sense where he ends up. Like they try and justify it, but. And it's a fun read to read. I would recommend it to anyone who's a fan of that idea.
I own it.
It's fun to read, but it still does. As a Superman fan, it still doesn't make 100% sense why he would go all the way he goes over there.
Hold on.
Donovan's next.
Yeah. 1 second, Donovan, go ahead.
This is what I kind of came here to talk about more so than like the movie, just whatever the movie. this is the most effusive. We on this panel are talking about like this movie in a critical sense because everybody out there is like, this is definitive.
Yeah.
And for Raph and Jamal, it's Superman. For me, it's Batman. Of course, that's more for BVS in this film. But there are people who are just like, it's not that they like it. It's like this. It's what it always has been and should be. And that cognitive dissonance is hard to stomach. I remember there was a promotion for this film like a couple weeks ago where it was like, you would have thought that like people thought that Zack Snyder created Batman. He's like, oh my God, he's getting like erotic asphyxiation from his mother's pearls. Zack Snyder understands him so much.
Donovan,
like,
how dare you question their edgelord and savior, Zack Snyder?
Well, I mean,
listen, ZES does not appreciate this, okay? I just spoke to him.
There's still people who think Bob Kane's the only one that created Batman.
That's true. That's true.
The great point made in this is that, like, there's that whole scene where Superman is going to the fortress to regain a costume, and you hear Jor-El and Jonathan Kent talk about what he can do. He's going to find his purpose. He can be an inspiration. All the things he can do. He can bring the human race up. He can inspire people.
Where'd they get that Jonathan Kent? Because that was not who he was in Man of Steel and BVS on the Mountain.
What he ends up doing is just grounding and pounding Steppenwolf. And it's like, okay, yeah, he's powerful, but it's like they're talking about him being like a character, but they're utilizing him as like an inanimate object almost.
Yeah.
Right.
And when people say, and that's Superman, it's like, it doesn't feel like, I've kind of had it with the whole, like, it's fine if you like it. I can't respect that anymore because the arguments just are too unsound, because it's not so much like a difference of opinion or a preference of aversion. It's like retconning history in terms of like, no, this is obviously what, Siegel and Schuster intended. And that's increasingly been like, because that's how we get release the Snyder Cut. That's how we get restore the Snyderverse, because people are arguing that this is like biblical, like characterization from start to stern. And I think that the movie itself is not as big as the movement, and the movement, I think, is a genuine, like a kind of a blood red question mark in terms of like comic media fandom, because we're at an impasse here. But we're like, I can't say for certain that this is it, because we're experiencing this toxic turnaround right now, and anything could happen. And if he gave us a movie where like Superman destroys Metropolis and like Batman says, "I'll fucking kill you." Like there's no limits. Didn't he want like Lois Lane to give birth to Bruce Wayne's child in some draft?
Did.
Like,
yes.
Like
that was parts 2 and part 3.
The odds of that not happening are far slimmer than they used to be like 3 years ago. And I feel as though you can say, well, these are fictional characters. It doesn't matter that much. Everybody has a different version. But I think that like that's not making the discourse any easier. And I feel as though that like it's not even a question of like feeling secure in which version that you like, because I'm secure in the version I like.
Right.
It's a question of how are we engaging with this community, which has dug its heels so deeply, like super deeply into combating for Zack Snyder's DC universe, because it's not. Oh, I don't like this comic, but I like this comic. It's like Zack Snyder versus fandom.
I think you'll get away from that as time goes on. Now that this thing is out, we can take a deep breath, and the diehards will die off.
No.
And the super diehards.
That's not how it works,
will
brother.
still do the restore the Airverse, but they're not in control anymore.
You know what?
Since there's nothing for them to talk about, the storyboards are out there. You've got the whole story.
Brent,
if you want to experience it that way.
Well, no,
it will go away. It will go away.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Well, Zack Snyder turned on those trolls on Geeks and Gamers, so what are they going to talk about anymore? Like, it'll die.
You have that, and then you also have the Ann Sarnoff from Warner Media basically say we are not doing any more. It's not going to be an cut of Suicide.
That was my favorite part.
In the morning,
that was my favorite part. Yeah, that was my.
That interview last week and timed it to release on the Monday after. Everybody watched it and got their hopes up. They're like,
would not release the
guess what? Bam, bam, bam.
That was
Kill your dreams and die.
Absolutely, my favorite part was will you release the air cut? No, we
No.
will not. That is not a thing that's happening. That's not going to happen. But
what was the quote on no amount of multiverses will this ever be made? I'm like, oh, that's
exactly. But let me go back for a minute. Going on what Donovan was saying, and also what Raph was saying, and to a point what Jamal was saying. My main issue with Superman in this version, and even in the Whedon version, to a point, Superman is the Hulk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Superman still had more to do in the Whedon version. I enjoyed him more in the Whedon version
that's
than I did here.
That's true.
One-liners. His one-liners were actually really good in the Whedon verse.
Right. But here in this version, all he is muscle. That's literally all he is. And
it's like Batman's rabid dog.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the fact that he's brought back for the Steppenwolf fight, but at the same time, that's also a detriment because I hated the Russian shit in the Whedon version, but at least it gave him something separate to do. You know,
at least he was saving people.
Exactly. At least he was saving people. Let's then he's just part of the fight.
Physics of him lifting an entire apartment building.
Oh, I know.
And keeping together.
He extends his bioelectric field.
Shut up, Raph.
You know about Jamal.
Shut up, Raph. Shut up.
Yeah.
The weight of the ends of the building alone would have crushed it. So the only thing he would have held up is that little bitty piece.
Hold on.
His bioelectric aura can extend from his body, guys. What are you talking about?
But that's just it. He was literally brought back for the end game in this fucking movie. Like, he had no other purpose in this movie other than to be rah, I fight grr arg.
To be fair, most of the Avengers got brought back for Endgame too. So
the purpose in his whole Justice League arc, though, is for Superman to go bad.
Yeah.
So, like, if you read those storyboards, as weird as they are, and it's like, huh? Like, the whole purpose of Superman in this whole arc is for him to die, return, and go bad.
Okay.
That's it.
So
Raph is right.
So hold on.
He's so mentally like weak as a character in these films. It's like, and Henry Cavill can't cry for shit. So it's like, oh no, you killed.
He does a lot of like
Darkseid's son, and it's like, are we with this character? Or are we watching this character? When he comes back, are we with him? Or are we just like standing at a distance watching it happen? Or are we like, yeah, Clark, go get him? Or are we like, oh, Superman's here? What's our relation to him as a character in these films?
I think the conceit of Superman in most of these films now is that he is the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, and he's the guy, like Rap said, he's the guy that you put in front of the big bad to hold off everything, and it works in some context. It works kind of here, but you miss out on the human aspect of the character. But to Brent's conceit about the character, about moving the pendulum to the opposite direction from Idiot's version in Superman Returns. That idea only works when you have a basis for the character to work off of. If your character, Superman, is just one bad day can make me evil, and you don't work on that human aspect of the character, it falls hollow. And I think the problem I see with the movie is like he doesn't like. I like the version of in Justice League because he was a little bit more human. It was, quippy and all that stuff, but it gave personality to the character that was missing from Man of Steel. Like he was, relating to other characters. He was talking to other characters in a way that made sense, even though that scene tacked on at the very end, like with him racing the Flash, was just, whatever. It still showed a side of Superman that we hadn't seen before. And that kind of reminisced me about, like Justice League or Superman the Animated Series.
Right.
So when you don't have that basis for that character of, I'm going to stand up for something, it just doesn't work for this movie. And the whole thing about his arc in this movie is that he finds out he finds his human side. It's a human side he never fucking had before, though, because he was always told, by his birth father, it's okay if you don't save anybody. It's okay if you let them die. And that's not the character, at least in my opinion, to the core conceit of him.
Be their hero, Clark. Be their mime. Be their legend. Be all of it.
That
or none of it.
and that voiceover also, where it's like, it's Jor-El, who always was the person saying you can be better. You can lead them to, you can be something they can aspire to. And paired up with the I guess is it new voice? Is it new dubbing now? Because
I don't think a lot of those lines were said in Man of Steel. I don't remember them. So
that was a different Jonathan Kent. That was Jonathan Kent from Earth 3.
If they were in Man of Steel, they were on the cutting room floor, because I definitely do not remember that from that.
Right, and exactly. So that version of Jonathan Kent, who's saying, be the hero, makes no sense with this Man of Steel versus Superman. It's telling.
It's incongruous.
It's incongruous, and it's telling you how to feel, and not giving the reason, or not showing you how to feel. And that's my biggest thing right there.
It sounds right, but it doesn't track.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of telling you.
It is revisionist history, the way that this movie in and of itself is revisionist history, because this movie 100% is a what if.
Yes.
This is a what if Zack Snyder had been allowed by DC, by Warner Brothers, to continue his story. The setup for Darkseid is a perfect example of that, because what if there had been a Justice League Part 2? What if there had been a setup that was going to lead to this, that we were going to get to? What if Superman had been given the opportunity to get a Man of Steel 2, which doesn't even seem like that's going to wind up happening anytime soon.
I think I honestly feel like this is probably going to be Henry Cavill's swan song.
Probably,
as Superman.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. Because, he's talked about wanting to do more, but, I don't really see that happening at this point.
He's too busy at this point. He's got
apparently it's meant to be Jordan and Ta-Nehisi Coates coming in now.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, why not?
So I wanted to chime in on, building on what Brandon said and
sure.
Raph said, and kind of what I was saying before. It's okay, Jamal. I don't mind that you interrupted me, because you're an intelligent, erudite human being who has a lot to say about Superman. But thinking about the politics thing, you talk about how they try to make they went to the opposite end with Superman and how he's super dark. And I said it's part of this trend where everything has to be dark, because being hopeful and bright is kind of like a fool's game. But that also kind of reflects the political reality we exist in, right?
Right.
It's not a coincidence that a lot of the people who are release the Snyder Cut are conservatives, are MAGA,
right.
Just they go full on into that. And Superman is at a weird juncture in that, because Superman is a liberal hero. He is very bright and sunny, and everything these people don't advocate. But at the same time, he's always been representative of America. You might remember after Superman Returns, people were flipping out because, Bryan Singer was like, "Yeah, I wasn't going to mention the American way." And, but I think that's the cognitive dissonance there. It's well, this guy's supposed to represent America, but he also has all these hippie liberal believings. And so it's kind of trying to take that idea of America and twist it. And that's the
right.
They can't concede the idea to that it's not for them, or that there might be people that fundamentally disagree with them. So we end up with stuff like Zack Snyder too. I don't even think Zack Snyder is really a conservative or anything.
No, he's not.
I do think he's bought into that cynicism that has permeated media, more and more every passing year.
No, he's
Randy. It's all about might makes right for him. He's all about the power. That's why Wonder Woman kills those guys. That's why all Superman does is hit things. It's not really. It is political, but it's not intentionally political. It's aesthetic and visceral for him.
Right.
He's postmodern without having gone through the actual modern phase.
Oh yeah.
Right.
No, he's Randian. And that in and of itself is, he is bleak, but he is not necessarily conservative. Which
in the Venn diagram.
Yes,
basically,
definitely, yeah. And you can see that throughout what's happened here. And frankly, one character that we haven't brought up yet that I have to bring up, Lois Lane, is a perfect example of that. because I brought up in our Justice League episode that I actually really enjoyed, Lois Lane and Man of Steel. I felt like she was a strong character, a strong female character that was given a lot to do outside of men.
I feel like you need to be slapped for using such an overused, hacky phrase.
Oh, I know, but and yet it actually kind of works with her character. With Batman v Superman, she was a lot more about Superman and a lot less about herself. Sure, there was that whole bullets, subplot, and her trying to figure out, where that came from and what have you, and the death of Jimmy Olsen and shit like that. But that was all a ploy to get Superman out there and stuff like that. So she was a lot more the damsel in distress. And here we are in Justice League, where this is her story plot. She is the woman in mourning, and that is it.
Yeah,
possibly pregnant.
Yes, possibly pregnant. We don't get there, but possibly. But she goes to the site of the memorial every day and hands the cop a coffee. Which is cool and all. Good for that cop for getting a coffee, but at the same time, she is not allowing herself to move on as a human being because she's so lost in her grief. And to me, that does not read as Lois Lane.
But she's pregnant.
But we don't actually know that, dude.
She never openly says it. So.
Exactly. She does not say that. And
Bruce says congratulations, and there's that huge pregnancy test box in her nightstand.
When did Bruce say that? 3-second cut on that pregnancy test.
I'll be honest, with the 4-hour cut, I completely missed that.
Oh God, it was.
Yeah, it's there. You're staring at it. It's called force majeure.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what the hell type of name is that for?
Right, but also
why was it near the toilet?
And then Batman at the end, Batman's walking after he says, "I bought the bank. How did you get your house back?" He whispers under his breath. He's like, "Congratulations, by the way," and then hard cut to the next thing.
Yeah,
and it's congratulations on what? I still want to know how and when. You see Martha, she comes into Lois Lane. It's Martha, right? It's really...
Why did you say that name?
God damn it, Raph!
Martha!
Why would you say that name at
Why
all?
would you say that
She comes into Lois Lane and it's we need you, Lois Lane, blah, blah, blah. It's really Martian Manhunter. The next scene that Lois and Martha see each other, there's nothing where Lois is as Superman's off in the cornfield and they're picking out a shirt for him to wear, she's like... I really appreciated that visit you gave me last week. And she's like, I didn't visit you.
No. Yeah, wait, what the fuck? Why? I get
come up at all?
I get why they wanted to show Martian Manhunter early on because put it in the coda, but it undercuts that scene so goddamn much.
It really does. And it made more sense as Martha. Clearly, it was filmed as Martha. Mm-hmm. It's not like they they went afterwards and were like let's get Martha Kent's actress back and make that shit happen. No, they clearly filmed it as Martha and then afterwards were like let's have the reshoots make it be Martian Manhunter, and it just undercuts a lot of the drama and the character growth that could have potentially been happening there because okay. Martha Kent, clearly, grieving mother. We get that. Grieving not quite wife as well. Mm-hmm. She is there to basically tell Lois, knock this shit off. You have a life to live. You are a star
grieving
reporter.
Is bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
Stop. You're a surprise winning reporter.
Thank you. Stop your bullshit and go be the reporter that you are. And then, mind you, then her, lost love comes back to life, and then, that all gets, sideswiped. But
right. Yeah, that's not feminist speak or writing. That's just a plot point to get her to inspire Superman to stop wanting to kick everyone's ass. She's the key to bring him out of his his robot man pain. So it's not right. Lois Lane, you have more to live.
Yeah.
And that is to be at this place at this time and get him back to his senses and then never appear again.
And then she gets the ultimate fridge.
Donovan's, they made a big point in the last movie. Lois Lane is the key. Lois Lane is the key.
Yeah.
In the Whedon cut, Batman remembers this part of his fucking nightmare and makes sure Lois Lane is at that resurrection scene in the park.
Yeah.
This movie's like, nope, she's just bringing coffee to the guy.
I mean, she was there. She was there in the end, but at the same time, I feel so bad for Amy Adams. She's better than this.
Apparently, that cop she was bringing coffee to was like Jamie Olsen, and I don't know if it was the Donner films or
Mark McClure.
Yeah,
something
from 78.
Yep.
I mean, I always thought she was miscast and like written badly, but like in this film, it could have been Dana Delaney, and it still would have been just like lousy. I mean, because like, and it's weird because these are meant to be Superman movies ostensibly.
Yeah.
Like, DC Universe, all that stuff, but she and Martha are like the through line from Man of Steel to Justice League. So,
but in Man of Steel, she's basically Basil exposition,
right? And even in this movie, if you would cut all the Lois scenes, it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and for that matter, if you would cut all the Superman scenes, that would have been fine.
I think they should have cut the Superman is bad plot and made that look like a Joss thing, and you'd have been fine.
I was actually okay. Hold on.
He goes straight to Smallville to visit his mom, who he thinks is there.
Yeah.
Lois is there.
Yeah.
He doesn't fight anybody, and then he comes and saves the day, and you'd have been like, hey, that was a somewhat decent Superman arc.
I was super surprised, Brent, that was not a Joss scene. To be entirely honest with you, like that the whole, you know, evil Superman for the sake of it thing, like I swore to God when we watched that the first time around that was a Joss inclusion and that it was going to not be a part of the central plot of this movie, and then it was.
Snyder always wanted Superman to fight the other heroes. That was always going to be a Snyder thing. I predicted that before Justice League even came out.
But wasn't the original idea behind that, or at least when they were planning it as a trilogy of films, was that Superman was being controlled by Darkseid?
Yeah. Which is the case with, you know, like the hand on the shoulder and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, that clearly they were setting up for that. But also, Superman the Animated Series did a really excellent job of that in its last 2 episodes.
On HBO Max, right?
3 episodes, Legacy, 3
episodes,
Legacy.
You're right, yes.
On HBO Max. If you watch Snyder Cut, you can go watch it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, remastered and available for you. Yep, really, really well done. Yes, listen to this to its conclusion first, and then go ahead and watch it. Or pause it, watch it, and then come back. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But either way, like, that was done so beautifully, and this was done so sloppily.
Yeah.
I said
it's hard.
I said on Twitter that if they would have followed the Heath Corson version from Justice League War, I would have been okay with this. Would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Real quick, back to Lois Lane.
Yeah.
She's also one of the biggest fundamental problems in all 3 movies.
Yeah.
And her role betrays everything about the comics because of one simple thing.
Yeah.
She always refers to him as Clark.
That's true.
Always. Everywhere. In front of people who don't know who the hell Clark Kent is.
I can't figure out what to call him.
Okay.
Superman! Kal-El!
Hold on. The fact that
how does this woman know his name is
Exactly.
The fact that at the end of this movie...
It was on the wall in the Amazon temple. Kal-El will save you.
Yeah. The fact that at the end of this movie, he's in civilians, and he goes ahead and rips off his clothes, and he's got the, you know, the black and silver underneath there. Like, how the fuck are you still managing to be in civilians in any way without anybody going, that's Superman?
Also, Lois
we didn't question.
And he does not have his glasses on her in her room. Like, it's a picture with her and Superman. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we don't question him being able to get a job at a major newspaper with no paper trail, no degree,
qualifications all.
No,
oh my god,
no newspaper no journalistic experience whatsoever. Just walks it off the street and is suddenly stringing at one of the biggest papers in the country.
Oh, I know, and that was my biggest problem with the earlier movies. That like he just literally just walked in and got a job. Like what the hell?
Well,
White privileged Superman.
I thought it was
That's
in the
what he
burn
is.
run, right?
in the '78 version, he proves himself to Perry, and that's why he partners him with Lois, because Lois is an experienced reporter.
Yeah.
Because he also happens to be the fastest typist he's ever seen. He rattles off everything.
But like,
that
in,
he
like,
likes
And he's
about
got a punchy prose style.
Yeah, exactly.
And gives
Yeah,
his
see, even in
gives
the
his
78
editor-in-chief-
campy version, they explain things.
But like in like,
Move it along.
But like in Lois
All right.
and Clark also, like,
Yeah.
he said- in Lois and Clark, like he's been around the world, actually
Right.
working as a
Yeah.
reporter for like other places, like the Tanzania Times. I think one of them was.
Well,
I would just like to reiterate, since we're kind of like, but in the Donner movies, this. Because I don't have the affinity to those films as other folks do. So, like, when people hear
There are
this, they're
very
gonna be
few that have it that I do.
Well, I know.
I'm gonna
when
be
people
honest.
listen to this, they'll be like, listen to these simps. They're so old men. But like at the same time, when they come back with like, but
I am a
Superman in this
simpy old
version
man.
is true. Like I really, because it feels like they're making it up in terms of like how they describe their affinity for Superman in these movies. Seems like it's like invisible space between the text and the visuals of the films themselves. Because I don't know how people would say you're wrong, he's great, and then point to anything. And I'm not saying that's a point of criticism. I'm saying like as a point of like battle preparation for their argument, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All of us are going to get doxxed because of this, because people are going to be really salty that like we're spending an hour criticizing Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill,
right.
and they're gonna come with receipts that have nothing to say, and I don't understand why this has to be.
Well, can I talk? I mean, since you're talking about unforeseen circumstances, can I comment on the fact that going back to Aquaman for a minute? I would like to thank James Wan.
Oh yeah,
very, very much for taking what this movie presented. Because mind you, he probably had access to the unreleased scenes.
Yeah, he probably did.
He with everybody involved, and decided to himself, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want, and I'm gonna create a movie that in and of itself kind of reminds me a little bit of the Mummy in its production, and like a little bit of like Stargate and shit like that. Like,
right.
And I'm going to create something that actually makes sense to me, rather than I'm going to follow Zack Snyder to a T, and those stupid air bubbles. Didn't actually wind up becoming
without
a thing.
the air bubbles. You mean the Atlanteans talk through echolocation only in dolphin squeak?
Yeah. Exactly.
Playing drums.
Octopus playing drums. Thank you. Yes, but also like Willem Dafoe's hair.
Oh yeah,
It's another perfect example. The pointless long hair for Willem Dafoe, a guy who has literally never had long hair in any of his movies ever. And yet you decide to put on a fake wig for him for this one because you have to make him look cool or something like that. And Amber Heard's. I mean, yeah, the accent.
God.
Oh my
no.
God, what were you trying to do here?
Do you guys not like Amber Heard? I thought she was fine in Aquaman.
Well, I thought she. Yeah, no, I thought she was all right in Aquaman.
American.
Yeah,
Brandon,
exactly.
Brandon, are you a Johnny Depp simp?
No, but here's my thing. That accent. Oh my God.
It's terrible.
that was-
It's terrible.
What do you mean? I'm Atlantean. I'm Atlantean.
That's why
Crikey, I'm from Atlantia. Crikey.
James
Crikey,
Wan
mate.
watched the scenes, went to Amber Heard, and was like, A,
Don't
you're
do
not
that.
doing that stupid accent. B, your hair's going to be fucking red.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so I got two notes. Number one, accent gone. Number two, air bubbles fucking out. Just get rid of them.
Oh, also
I think the overalls were a neat idea, but they are overthinking the whole thing.
they
I
are.
like the overthinking because it was I knew watching Justice League, like thinking like this is dumb. Like
Did
the whole,
Aquaman?
like,
Did Aquaman have the eyes in Aquaman?
no, he
Yeah, I
did,
think he did.
no, not till the very end.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
That's
not
what
till
I
he
thought.
got on Orm's, his great-great-great-grandfather's suit.
yeah,
Right.
Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering that the entire freaking time I watched the Snyder Cut, whether or not he had those freaking eyes, because like there was such a
yeah.
cognitive dissonance going on
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
The other thing I thought was weird about the design of, I didn't think about it in the first movie, but I did in this movie because they used the air bubbles more since the scene was longer. Like they used the air bubbles to drop Steppenwolf to the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that was cool.
So
That was
it
decent,
was cool, but I'm thinking about the original design. Like, okay, you're going to keep people out of this place, and you're going to post guards around it. Okay, and we're in the ocean, so you assume that anybody coming in here can swim up or down. So we're going to put this thing at the top of a tower, inside a tower. And like in the ocean, wouldn't this make more sense to drill down and put this thing as deep as you possibly can so that you get more pressure or whatever, and then at least you can stop them from coming back up, or make it a difficult thing for them to go down? Like the only way that thing works is if you know that every Atlantean has this air bubble power, and once you swim up and grab it, they can drop you all the way down there. That didn't make any sense to me. Like, you got to be really paying attention 100% of the time.
but
Drop motherfuckers down the trench.
Well, here's what it is. Shut up.
Gotcha. Got him. Perfect answer.
But yes, the mother box must be cool because like in every spot it's put except North, it's put on a fucking pedestal. Why? It's like, oh yeah.
I mean, Brent's 1,000,000% right. That's such an obvious point that it's like, okay, Mr. explained everything, like air bubbles and like, you know, the costume was realistic, but it's like that's a bleeding point, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Why not put it someplace more secure? Because fuck you. That's why.
It doesn't look cool, guys.
Oh, man.
And
How can
it's
you
the only
go
building
underground?
standing in this Atlantean graveyard. It's like,
Yeah.
where's the mother box? I don't know.
Could it be in that building over there?
It was.
Is it in the mother box room? Oh.
I mean, the Amazons have the same problem, you know.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, it looks like it's in that building on the cliff that looks like it's about to fall. I don't know.
And the search for the mother boxes
with a hole in the middle of the ceiling that anybody can just jump through.
The search for the mother boxes in general. I mean, not only did I mentioned this back in our Justice League review. Like, I mean, not only is it very Avengers, you know, with getting the Infinity Stones and what have you, but the fact that we had to, you know, spend an extra, you know, 7 minutes on them placing it into the pillar and then having it, you know, register and what have you, and then like sync.
Like a Skype call.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. I got what he was trying to do, but at the same time, it needs editing. More than anything else, it needs editing.
The thing that they also could have taken out is the anti-life bit. I don't mind him talking about it, but the idea that I didn't understand this part. He found Steppenwolf found the anti-life, and it's this big Omega symbol in wherever the hell he was. But at the same time, we're led to believe that that's the same field that Darkseid first appeared on thousands of years ago. Yeah. And therefore, after Darkseid slammed his big stick to the ground, he also found anti-life. So wouldn't Darkseid remember? That's where it was. They didn't know where the mother boxes were after thousands of years, where they left them. Like they just get a mind wipe from Batman and Crisis of Conscience or something. What the fuck?
It's an I lost my key scenario right here, and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like
unless their star charts were magically destroyed. Like that, yeah, that was always.
So they just went to a random planet and decided to take over, but you know, didn't register where this planet was in the universe or what dimension.
There's like 4 of those Desaad witches. But like 2 of them are tending to Darkseid, who's somehow bleeding out like a stuck pig.
Yeah.
After all that, not one of them thought to be like, "Where's this planet again? We left our mother boxes
on his GPS, guys. We gotta come back."
And
the one planet though where he got his ass handed to him and they forget it. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Mind you, that entire fight scene was actually one of the more badass fight scenes in the entire thing. You know, like the whole. Yes, it was too long, but it was Lord of the Rings enough for me to actually like really dig it.
If that scene had been any more homoerotic, it would have been directed by Joel Schumacher.
It was Leonidas of the Ring.
Oh my god!
Rest in peace.
Also, I dug the Green Lantern ring getting ripped off the hand and all that jazz and flying off like that. That was cool. Even though poor guy didn't even get a name. Like he just straight up got.
Kilowog is dead in that flash forward that Cyborg has. He's like dead on the ground in front of the Justice League sign.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that. Dead. Yeah.
It was Tomar Moo.
Tomar Moo.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, now you're just making things up. Yeah. He's like Tomar Dew's like second uncle or whatever.
Leads the Tomar Roo cut.
Oh god.
He's Tomar Bob. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I went to high school with his younger brother Tomar Steve. Yeah,
Absolutely. All right, so we've been talking about this shit for like really, really long at this point. My only question is, where the fuck do we go from here? Because like as a DC entity, clearly we're done with the Snyder shit. Because like, you know, they've been 100% clear at this point that we're not getting a sequel to this. It means we're probably not going to get a Justice League movie for quite some time. We're getting Black Adam, that much we know. We're getting Suicide Squad, that much we know. It might not even be associated that much with the air cut, but either way, like, you know, we're getting a quote-unquote sequel to Suicide Squad.
I think Wonder Woman 3 is locked in, too.
Wonder Woman 3 is locked in. That's true, too.
And, of course, the Batman.
And the Batman, which is often Earth 4Q or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, they finished filming that, I think.
They did, yes.
Just did.
Yeah.
So, when Flashpoint comes out...
Oh, God. That's right. We're in a Flash movie, too.
All hail our Lord and Savior, Lord Vampire Batman.
Listen, that bat symbol is made from the gun that killed his parents, guys. It's so cool.
God.
I'm down for the Battison.
No.
Symbolic, guys.
Robert Pattinson, I am actually really looking forward to. I think he's actually going to do a really good job.
That bat symbol gun thing is a theory. I never said that.
You know,
I know.
If you look at the clips, it's pretty obvious.
It doesn't look like a gun. I don't see no trigger.
I like the idea that Kevin Smith
Everything
did.
else is there.
Kevin Smith did this story in Detective 1000 where Batman melted the gun and then makes it into the chest plate you're supposed to fire at because it's got a big fucking bat symbol you can make out. I looped around to my point again.
I could give a crap about the bat signal.
It's a good point, man.
Oh no, I can give a crap about the bat signal. Jeffrey Wright is James Gordon. Like nothing.
Jeffrey Gordon.
Yeah, Jeffrey Gordon.
Gordon is Jeffrey.
Exactly. Yeah.
As long as the symbol is visibly a bat, that you can tell it's a bat and not just be a big square from far away.
It is all we need. It's all we need.
I'm good because that's all that Batfleck symbol looks like to me is a big square. Can't even see the little tips on there or down here. It's terrible.
I like the fat bat, though. I like the fat bat, though.
But let me.
I like the fat bat when you can tell it's a bat.
Yes. Let me bring it back around though. Like with Flashpoint, which is clearly happening in this universe.
Right.
Do we even have a universe after that Flashpoint? Like, because clearly, you know, they're bringing in, you know, Michael Keaton's Batman. They're bringing in, Batfleck for one last time. And then after that, we might very well just have Michael Keaton Batman along with Flashpoint. Like,
Michael Keaton doesn't even know if he's going to make it to filming because of coronavirus, so who knows what's going to happen.
That is also true. That is also very true.
And Billy Crudup is out as Flash's dad.
Yeah, Crudup is out. Yeah, Crudup is out as Flash's dad.
Because he's too busy boning Jennifer Aniston on the next season of The Morning Show.
But should we just straight up abandon the quote-unquote Snyderverse as it is?
I think it's done.
Dumpster fire.
I think it's done. I think they gave it 8 years. I think it's time to let it go.
Okay.
To quote,
my worry is that like they won't though.
So to talk about an edgelord type story, I'm going to quote another edgelord.
Yeah.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have to. Just let it go.
Yeah.
I hate you so much right now.
Listen, you have to speak their language to them in order to get them to understand.
Well, I'll be.
They didn't like that movie either.
No, they did not. For that matter,
I'm trolling them. I'm speaking their language.
But I'll be plain and simple with it. Okay, we are at the point now where rebooting just makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, like rather than try to keep this limping existence going. Clearly, Zack Snyder is not on good terms with Warner Brothers. And you know,
for sure. I mean, like they've been like,
they threw him a bone.
waxing his car like the last couple of weeks.
Okay, Donovan.
The release of that Ian Sarnoff article today means that they're done.
You're not on good terms with the company.
And he's already said, like, in a previous interview,
he doesn't want to do anymore.
Right.
Well, it's not even that he doesn't want to do anymore, but he also already said when they asked him whether or not he was going to do more, and they said, well, it looks like Warner Brothers is moving on,
right?
And, I look forward to their vision, which basically said that somebody at AT&T basically sat him down and said, no, we're not doing any more fucking movies.
Oh yeah,
this is
absolutely, and for that matter, like when you don't take any money to ensure that you get full creative control, that says a lot, because like clearly he's not going to keep doing that in order to continue to make movies. And if that was the only way for him to make the Snyder Cut the way that he wanted, then yeah, he's out.
He got what he wanted. He got the restoration of his filmmaker cachet.
Right.
He's got Army of the Dead coming out the exact same year. He's the only one out there doing interviews and promoting it. Like it's Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's not Justice League the director's cut. It's his name is above the title. He's got everything he needs.
Yeah.
He needs to go move on.
Oh yeah, and also with Ray Fisher dropping out officially, because like he was going to be in Flashpoint, now he's not. Ezra Miller being essentially the only, person left outside of Gal Gadot. And
the way Wonder Woman 84 performed, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't move forward with her either.
They're doing a third. No, they've 100%.
They're going to wait 8 years for Patty Jenkins to do Cleopatra with Angelina Jolie and Gal Gadot and Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
They greenlit it,
that
so
movie made money.
I don't know.
I mean, all signs point to yes on Wonder Woman 3.
Well, I know it was greenlit already. It was greenlit the day the movie came out. So
it was,
basically.
yes, yeah.
So it's going to happen. Just who knows when?
Exactly. I do think that would be the third and final appearance of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I don't think that like if we get a quote unquote Justice League movie down the line, that's the reboot. I don't think we're getting these characters again. But I think that's the only way you can go at this point. The Snyderverse, it was interesting, and that's the way that I will put it. It was interesting to see where we were going to go.
It was an interesting experiment, yeah.
Yes, it was an interesting experiment. There are people out there who really enjoyed what they got,
right,
and more power to them. And there's people out there. I didn't bother to get people who actually really enjoyed it on this call because I'm clearly lazy.
We were trying to keep it a secret, though.
Oh, I know that's true because for all I know,
I was in there going, "Shut the hell up!"
Yeah,
we were like.
Honestly, Ian, I feel like it's with the climate scientists where 99% of climate scientists believe in climate change, and then there's that 1%. And you are under no obligation to track down that one person that says global warming isn't real.
That is fair. And for all I know, again, like I did not ask people going into this. Like we went blind. Like I did not ask people going into this whether or not they enjoyed it. For all I know, Brent loved it. And
we decided on this months ago.
I know.
We did. I purposefully said we all knew we were watching it, and I said let's schedule the time so we can get this, in the bag. And who do we want on it?
Exactly.
And it was like everybody that's ever been in a conversation on comic timing about BVS and Man of Steel, and here the seven of us are.
Exactly.
Unite the Seven!
Unite the Seven!
We did it!
Yes!
Yes!
Oh my God! I didn't even put that together.
Oh God.
That was
about us the whole time. You didn't even know, Jamal. You had no idea.
Oh my God!
It wasn't Martian Manhunter. It was us.
It all makes sense. It all makes sense. Oh my God! It was the friends
we made along the way.
Oh my God! Gentlemen and lady, I believe we are near the end of our fantastic romp here.
I still got like 50 more points to go through, honestly.
Oh, I know you do.
I know.
Put them on Twitter.
You can put them on Twitter, but at the same time, we are near our end here. So, like, Brandon, if there's any other points you want to point out, by all means.
You know what? We're good. We said them all. Mine were mostly like nitpicks, but like honestly, I got none. We shot our bolt.
Okay. To quote Chris Epperly, by the way, just to bring it back around to Comic Geek speak. Well done.
Gotta pay that tax.
I'm going to ask you all to rate it out of 10, since we rated Justice League out of 10, even though we forgot to. Because like I re-listened to that episode, we rated Thor Ragnarok out of 10, and then completely ignored our rating for Whedon's Justice League.
We're like, let's move on to Doomsday Clock.
Exactly. Yeah, but I would give Whedon's Justice League a 5 out of 10, and I would actually give this one a 6 out of 10.
I agree.
I think that it's pretty close.
Exact same rating. I would give it the exact same rating.
Nice.
I started the show off saying that if Whedon's version was a C-, this is a C+. I still stick by it. This is at best a 7.7 out of 10. Like,
Fair enough.
It is the degree of improvement is marginal at best.
Fair enough. Raph?
So I am going back to when I posted about Justice League. It was November 20th. I didn't give a score then. I'm going to say because I'm such a simp and such a tool, I think I gave that one a 6.5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that logically means I have to give this movie a 7 because I did say I objectively enjoyed it more than the first one, right?
That's fair.
So it's a 7, but it's a very weak 7.
And I was there and you were there? Yeah. Definitely.
Like, I actually pulled literally what I said was, without saying too much, because I know not everyone has seen it, Justice League feels like two movies mashed together, and I want to see what each movie would have been. I'm legitimately interested in what Zack Snyder originally had in mind, and I also would love to have seen what Whedon would have done from scratch. I've seen it. I think it's better than I would have thought 4 years ago.
Fair enough.
But it's not, and I think I still don't like Zack Snyder's ideas for superheroes.
I think I would love to know what the people sitting behind us at Alamo thought of this, because re-listening to the episode, Raph, I remember those people that like freaked out at Superman's return, like whether or not they would have thought, it was the same sort of freak out this time around, and whether or not they enjoyed it nearly as much.
Why? They telegraphed that shit so hard.
I know. But they, then again, like, there's a difference between comic book fans and plebes.
That's true. And then the people that glared holes in me when I laughed when the third time I saw Infinity War with you.
Yep.
When everyone died and I was just like, and everyone's looking at me like I'm a psychopath, and I'm just like, no, I've seen this 3 times already, and I know what's going to happen anyway. They're going to come back. Relax, guys.
God. Chris, what do you give it out of 10?
So I had to pull up my Letterboxd account to see what I gave the Justice League, and that was 2 stars out of 5. So that would be a 4 out of 10. Mm-hmm. So this, I'll bump it up a full star. I think, like I said, the first half I was totally down with it, and then they remembered that Superman existed, and it was just all downhill from there.
Fair enough. And oh my God, the sepia. Brandon, did you give it already? My bad.
Yes.
Donovan, go ahead.
The Justice League, I Joss Whedon himself and his predilections aside, I just can't bring myself to hate that film. Like, everyone's really ragging on it now. It's not a great movie, but like I gave that about a 6. Yeah. I mean, this is a better version. It is, objectively. Yeah. This still has, like, I didn't like Wonder Woman in this. I mean, she looked cool, but like the way that she was Snydered, I didn't like. I hated her music. I hated that.
Sorry.
All the music with Aquaman I didn't like, but whether it was like the women or like that song where he's slow motion walking towards like the docks, like
Yeah, Icky Thump worked a lot better in Justice League than whatever the hell he picked in this movie.
That's interesting. Yeah,
that was a badass needle drop.
Yeah,
Icky
So
Thump.
pretentious and cheesy.
Completely different.
I didn't like that. I did like the Flash and Cyborg, and it did get better to the end. So it was all right. All right, not good, not bad. All right, I would give it a 7.
Fair enough. And Brent.
So if Justice League was a 6, for me, this movie is a 2. Because I cannot say that this is a better film at all, because I don't consider this a film.
Holy shit.
You can't. You guys all said you were sitting here in this 4-hour cut and bored at times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm going to say a film is better, then I want to be able to say that I sat through a 4-hour film and didn't notice its length.
Yeah.
Can't say that for this movie.
Yeah.
And there are scenes I liked better in this movie as scenes, but as a whole, this thing is way out of whack. So I cannot in good faith recommend this to anybody over the Justice League, just because I feel like I'm going to waste 2 hours extra of their life on this version versus the other one.
I will say one final thing about this, and that is, I had Martha watch Batman v Superman for the first time, the Ultimate Cut, before we watched this. And she actually enjoyed it for the most part. She had never seen the original, but she thought it was, a little bit too long. And then she watched Justice League and fell asleep twice. And that says a lot about, just how long the Snyder Cut was. But she still enjoyed it, a lot of it, like a decent amount of it.
Yeah, she woke up for the good parts.
Exactly, she woke up for the good parts. But I think that this movie, I'm glad that it does exist, just so we could see what if.
Well, film schools are going to have so much fun with this idea.
100%.
Oh my God!
Our kids, they were going to learn about
Zack
editing.
Snyder's go edit your little heart outs, you nerds. And
I
that's
can-
what they're going to do to it.
Oh,
and one thing I will say, we
Ooh, I
did
kinda
not
wanna do that.
compliment. If I want to compliment Joss Whedon, I will compliment him on this. I liked his Zack Snyder opening scene a whole lot better than anything Zack Snyder did in this.
See, the one thing I don't like about it is the fact
The funeral, the slow-mo, the knocking over with the newspapers and the London.
See, I thought that would have been a Snyder thing. I would have sworn.
I thought it was Snyder, but it was all Joss, and I gotta hand it to him. He did a lot better than Snyder did in this.
that one was good, but the pre-scene, the bloggers or the podcasters, interviewing
and then
interviewing mustacheless Superman. That's
the worst he looks in that film.
Yeah, that was shit. And then also the Batman on the roof with the villain, him establishing that he already knows that there's an alien invasion. I actually prefer him not knowing that there's an alien invasion in the Snyder Cut. That actually was one of the few benefits for that.
Yes, until Diana jumps down into the Well of Souls wearing stiletto heels. And
Exactly.
You mean Diana Prince Tomb Raider? Yeah.
But also, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for fans to make their own cuts of this movie. Because
you think I'm going to do it?
Because you know what's going to happen. Because Raph has seen and Chris has seen Superman Redeemed. The version of Superman 3 and 4 that is combined into one cut. That is a thing that
Is
exists.
this really a thing?
I will send you the
sparkle nails.
I will send you the file, Jamal. I have the file. It is a fan cut that combines Superman 3 and 4 with the intro of Superman 2 with the explosion and what have you as the catalyst to try to combine it into something that matters. This is, I guarantee you, they're going to be fan edits out the wazoo, combining both the Whedon cut and the Snyder cut into one cohesive unit.
Here's the idea: just cut an hour out. Just cut one goddamn hour of the entire movie.
Absolutely, 100%. 4 hours of this shit, maybe 3 hours are what matters. That's it, and you can make it work, and it would actually be something. But It is.
I'm sure Topher Grace is recutting it as we speak.
And I would even say, okay, look, I would even say 3.5 if you want to just keep a lot of the other stuff in.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
4 hours.
It's probably shorter if you cut out the slow mo. The slow mo is like minutes long.
Yeah, like the slow mo, the awkward long takes and long glances toward at the end of scenes. Just cut out the fat. That's really all you really have to do, and it would be a tighter film. And it would just work so much better.
Absolutely, but he wasn't given the money to do that, or he just frankly didn't care because he was told he could just do what he wants with it. And
I still maintain he didn't do a single day of work on editing on this film.
This film is so masturbatory. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to come up to Tennessee when theaters open up back up and we can do it safely. I want to come up to Tennessee and go find a slow-mo movie and just watch Donovan have allergic reactions to slow-mo.
but I want to make 100.
You'll be the final people who see me alive.
I want to make 100% clear though, the one thing that works super well in this movie more than anything else is the sign for suicide prevention, and that's something that you should very much keep in mind because, yes, that is the reason that Zack Snyder left this movie, is that unfortunately, his adopted daughter, committed suicide, and that is one of the main reasons why he left this project. And I think that the fact that he took zero money for this, and is donating as much as he can to suicide prevention really means a lot.
I should also point out, because I did see this, and I know you love the Hallelujah song in this, but apparently that was his daughter's favorite song.
Oh, yeah.
When I heard that, I'm like, oh great, am I the asshole now?
Yeah, actually, a lot of the like music I think was some of his daughter's favorite music, like the actual songs that were used.
Yeah.
So I will say that's the nicest thing I can say is that I'm glad. This, however you feel about the universe or the movie, I'm glad he got to do this.
Yeah.
And get some form of closure and to dedicate this work to his daughter, because, sometimes you need to do that, especially when you're, if you're a creative person, you need to work your grief out somehow. I mean, I could make a Jeff Loeb reference. I'm not going to, Why did
you say that name?
I'm glad. Like, I know Jeff Loeb's work kind of suffered, but I'm glad Jeff created Sam Alexander because that helped him work through his grief. And if Zack gets the closure he needs from, this Snyder cut, cool, good for him. If there's only one person that gets anything out of this entire movie, if the whole world hates it and he gets closure, I'm happy. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care that I don't care about it. My personal feelings aside, I don't care. I'm glad he has that. At least.
Oh, sure.
Agreed.
Absolutely. I mean, like, circumstances suck, and especially in situations like this. I mean, like, Joss Whedon would not have been on this movie had things turned out differently. And I mean, the what if of the Snyder Cut would not have happened had Zack Snyder's life turned out differently. And, we can't stop that from happening. It was a very unfortunate event, and, life turned out the way it did. But I am still glad that this exists in one way or another. Mm-hmm. The other thing,
let us never talk about it again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Don't need to.
And that's just it. Now that it has been released, and now that Zack Snyder got to do what he wanted to do, I don't ever want to watch this movie again.
Exactly.
And I want to move on. And I hope that as a society, we can move on and get new DC movies, and figure this out. That's really all I can say. Because we're not getting more of the Snyderverse. I mean, I could knock on wood right now because for all I frickin' know, 2 years from now they'll change their mind. But I think we're done with this chapter, and that's fine.
And yet, this has to be the most, I don't want to say negative because I don't think we're negative, although we were negative, the most critical review of this film on the internet. I maintain that, like, for whatever reason, I feel that, like, everyone is, like, correct. Yeah. I agree with all the points. but for whatever reason, we are a strong minority because even people who were like us 5 years ago really love this movie, and it's interesting. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, well, and I guarantee you that once we reach a comic talk on Comic Geek Speak, that the other members of the Comic Geek Speak cast will probably like this a lot more than I did, and that's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's just that it's going to hit you a different way if you're looking for certain expectations, and it's just not at all what we're really reaching. And yes, Brent points out on his phone there, 73% on the tomato meter, 96% on audio score versus the 40% that Joss Whedon's Justice League got, and I think 73% on the tomato meter.
I think also that
how much of that, and I question that because how much of that? No, I'm not questioning the scores. I know the scores, but I'm questioning whether they're judging it as a movie in itself or they're comparing it to the previous version. Because I feel like
if you guys were judging this as a movie, you'd be looking at it next to, like Blade Runner, Kingdom of Heaven Extended Cut is a 4-hour movie. And that's a good 4-hour movie.
Yeah,
and that's another version that is completely different movie than the theatrical cut, Kingdom of Heaven by Ridley Scott. I encourage you to go watch the director's cut.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. I talked about this in my BK's Bullets review. That's a 4-hour movie in the theaters, out of the theaters, but it earns its coda because you've spent 10 hours with them on the other two films,
right?
And they're moving the story along as each one goes, whereas this one was 4 hours and you couldn't get to the story until Superman came back 3 hours in.
Right.
Yeah. It's just it really is a difference between time given more than anything else. I mean, like those movies had the time to do that. Mind you, I still hate the codas in Lord of the Rings. I still wish that they had not gone on for like the what seemed like 45 minutes after the fact. But
the fake endings.
The fake endings.
The fake outs? Yeah.
But they had earned that.
Him addressing everybody by name in slow motion is actually pretty funny. Gimli. I was laughing my ass off.
At the same time, though, at least this one listed it as epilogue. Like. You can stop watching the movie at that point if you really want to.
Yeah, they didn't have shit to do with anything.
I know. Yeah.
This was more Battle of Five Armies than it was Return of the King.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about it.
Fair enough.
That's hurtful.
I mean, you're not wrong, but
I rated it. That's where I feel.
All right, guys. I think this is just about it. I mean, I'll just go ahead and throw out there a thank you to everybody who sat through this, because I guarantee you that there are a bunch of people in this audience that do not agree with our review here of the movie.
We'll probably do a whole episode responding to them.
Yeah, essentially. And you're more than welcome to feel the way you feel about it. I just kind of knew this was happening, and you can go ahead and listen to Daryl Taylor's review of it if you really want like a positive review, because I guarantee you that's probably a lot more positive than what we gave here.
Oh yeah.
I
haven't even listened to it, and I can already tell.
I know he loves the Snyderverse, so
he does, yes,
which good for him.
Exactly. I have no problem with that whatsoever, and I need to like drill that down. I have no problem with anybody liking the Snyderverse. It's just not our bag. Well, yeah, that's
I'm not doing anything about it.
That's fair.
I don't, but that's because I don't want my Twitter mentions to blow up every time I mention it.
Oh, come at me, please.
I'm done.
But also at the same time, like,
just give it to me. I'll eat it up with a spoon.
I don't mind people liking what they like. I just don't mind what I mind is the extremism, and that's its own bag. But I think we can pretty much end things here at this point, and thank people. Those of you who have been listening to Comic Timing in one form or another for 15 years. That's amazing. The fact that we've lasted as long as we have. Yes, the fact that you've listened to Raph say "My Parents Are Dead" like 95 times is more than enough for anybody. But
what do you mean? What do you mean? It's great. It's what Batman said. Raison d'etre.
It's great. It's
His
great.
parents are dead.
It's great. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
But yeah, in general, thank you guys so much for listening to us and for listening through this. And here's for many, many more years of this in one form or another. I'm sure at least one episode will come out per year. So that much is guaranteed.
I'll make sure of that. Damn it.
Oh, I know you will,
Brent's got
Brent.
it. Brent's got it.
Because you're on my ass about it, and that's what matters.
I'm the one ragging you in the comic geek speak group every single time there's a new episode. I'm like,
exactly.
What about me?
What about me? What about Raven?
What about your original love?
What about Blue Diamond?
But let's make sure everybody gets their plugs before we wrap things up here. Brent, we will start with you because you are the co-host, and that's what matters the most.
You can follow my regular musings 3 to 4 times a week, as I'm advertising right now, on my YouTube channel, BK's Bullets. Go like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff over there.
Fantastic. Raph, where can they find you?
I was pretending to be a streamer for a while there. So that's at twitch.tv/Raph does stuff. I'm mostly game. Sometimes I'll talk about stuff, but I don't because the AAA titles don't really work well on the laptop that gets too hot, so I get CPU throttling, so I can't stream. Find me on Twitter after that stuff.
Fair enough.
Come bitch at me about Snyder Cut. We'll talk. It's cool.
That'll do. Chris, where can they find you?
Just Twitter, obviously. I'm at Lampbane or at Chris Naudis is the more professional side. I've somehow gotten roped into writing the hot takes for all of the Marvel Studios shows on Disney Plus. So,
Nice.
you could if you go to Engadget.com, you can see my WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I guess Loki when that finally comes out.
Excellent. Donovan.
I co-host Questions We Don't Have Answers with my buddy Harrison Shoot. In fact, like Raph was on there last year. We're talking about the subject was the relevance of Superman, or should Superman be relevant, which I thought was a pretty meaty discussion we had. Also guest starring John Wilson. I am a freelance content creator for DC Universe. You can find my writings there, especially I wrote a lot of milestone stuff that they've been republishing on Twitter of late. And I'm Dono DMG1 on Twitter, so you can come and please bring on the smoke. I can't wait to hear it. You can come at me, bro, there.
Fantastic. Brennan?
You can follow me on Twitter at the Dabadon, DHEDABBADON. I have a on hiatus podcast called Pop Culture Clash with my co-host Ados Barron. I am also working on something with Dono and Raph in the coming future. If Dono ever gets his shit together and gets on Discord, I can start that up now.
He's on Discord.
Yeah,
we'll do.
Just
get shit together.
He's just got to make a character.
We had to shame him publicly.
Of course, you got to do it. But other than that, find me on Twitter. And if you, honestly, I enjoy the discourse and I even enjoy the hate sometimes because I need that to survive because I'm from Philadelphia and we eat hate.
Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Your bagels suck. All right, and head up. and Jamal, where can they find you?
You can find me at jamaleigel.com, and that will lead you to all other places where I frequent on the Twitterverse. But if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you're going to have to ask me to join my feeds because it's gotten ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
And I apologize if I'm somehow part of that. That's all I'll say. I mean, a little bit.
On that ride home from Super Show that one year, and we were all talking about how optimistic we were about Man of Steel.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Such different times.
Those were good times.
Almost a decade ago now, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my God. Yeah. It almost is, and time freaking flies. So
it does.
All right. I'll just say I am on Twitter, I_AM_sci-fi. And you can find me on Instagram at the same address. And let me see if this music actually works here. There we go. The email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. You can find us at facebook.com/comictiming. But also you can go ahead and comment on Facebook.com / the Comic Geek Streak supergroup for more information and for joining in on the conversation, as this will indeed be posted there as well. And it'll also be posted at youtube.com / Comic Geek Speak, and also youtube.com / BK's Bullets for that matter. So for everybody on this call, I'm Ian Levinstein, reminding everybody out there that there's always time for comics. 15 years in, 15 years more. Take care, everybody.
But maybe not time for the Snyder Cut.
Maybe about an hour less.
2 hours left.
2 hours less.
Hour. Just chop an hour off, guys. Just chop a fucking hour off.
Chop an hour off.
I mean, I've got a video editor. I could do it.
Oh.
I dare you.
Make it happen.
The Suhu cut.
We need less.
Bring us the Suhu cut.
We need less sweater snipping and slow-mo hair tugging.
Icelandic singing.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Not one terrorist was hurt in this recording.
Holy shit.